Hi everyone and welcome back to Valhalla Games podcast. This time around, Dan's been playing some games, which is pretty rare these days. Dan actually went to a tournament, which was fantastic. Over there in Kiwi land, they don't have any COVID-19, so they're pretty much free to do whatever they want. I am a little envious, but join me as we hear what he's been up to, how he did, and whether he got crushed like a bug or he was the one doing the crushing. After that, catch up on our hobby and all the news of what's new and improved in wargaming. We're glad to have you along. Don't forget to check us out at valhallagames.net. Also, go to the same place to find the link to our YouTube channel. Lots of videos on there, lots of interest, lots of community chat. And as well as that, we have our Patreon page for those who would like to support us. Once again, thanks very much to the supporters that we've got already. We really, really appreciate it. And we're putting those few dollars a month to good use, buying more products for more gaming, more videos, and more reviews. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we'll be back after the break. Hi, welcome back everyone, and Dan, so you've gone to an event only just this weekend, only just a couple of days ago as we record this podcast. Was it excitement and men running heroics across battlefields and saving the day like Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah, well, I've got plenty to tell you about it, but I think we'll that all in its due time, Rex, all in its due time.
I like to skip to the end though. I like to get the meat at the end.
I know you are, because I haven't told you how I got on yet.
I know. I don't even know what army you played. All right, well, let's start at the beginning then. Come on, tell us a story.
All right. So the event slash tournament, more of an event, I guess, like a lot of events at the moment, post-COVID or during COVID, the reality is, and we're going to be living with COVID for a long time. It was, I guess, attendance was down on last year. The event slash tournament was called No Surrender, and it was hosted by the Christchurch Wargaming Club here in Christchurch, New Zealand. And it was multiple game systems, so sharing the venue, hire, the venues at the club, which has massive sort of playing areas. We had all sorts of game systems. So we had the Star Wars Imperial Assault. Goodness, is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay, the board table one, Imperial Assault, is that the one? And we had Age of Sigmar, we had a 9th Age Warhammer Fantasy tournament, we had a 40k tournament, we had Flames of War, we had some guys who just turned up to play other historical game systems. They were playing Napoleonics there. And of course we had us, the Bolt Action. So Bolt Action had, because not many people are travelling at the moment, I guess the risk of cancellation is pretty high for any of these, so no one really wants to fork out money or take leave and stuff and cancel them, you know what I mean, Rex?
Yeah, I do know what you mean, because my main tournament of the year is on next weekend, except it's not.
Was that Moab?
Yep, so the guys did a great job organising it, or preparing for it and planning, but in the end just had to pull a pin on it, and that's my main tournament for the year. Up in smoke, poof.
Ugh.
So I'm going to live my gaming life vicariously through your description of this tournament slash event slash games.
Okay, well, no pressure on me then. Yeah.
Yeah, better be good.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll get to it. So that's the setup. So it was a 2-day event. So on Saturday and Sunday, just gone, so the 26th and 27th of September, 2020. And as you know, I've done pretty well with my British Paras and Fallschirmjäger. I have got some other forces, so I thought, you know what? I'm looking to maybe play you on the Eastern Front at some stage with our setups, our games, You're talking about Stalingrad. I'm talking about the Battle of Berlin, and in particular the Soviets versus the German forces there. So I decided I was going to give a walkout to my Soviet army, Rex.
Oh, fantastic. All right, okay. And was it already months in advance of what it was meant to be with the play date?
Yeah, well, no. Come on, Rex, I'm a wargamer. So as I've
Or even if it was ready a month in advance, you would have automatically triggered the purchase of a new army that wasn't ready, wasn't painted, wasn't even assembled, and hadn't even arrived yet. Is that right?
absolutely, because being ready on time would be cheating.
Yep.
So what I did is, I have referred to this before on the podcast. I have got massive amounts of sprues for Soviets that have come in the Battle for Berlin box. I purchased War Games box sets before. I've got the Warlord sets as well. I've got loads and loads of Soviet infantry and vehicles. But then, of course, I went and purchased an army as well that was pre-made, pre-painted, and everything like that. And I referred to it before on the podcast. So I have got a Soviet army sitting there. It's neatly painted. It's not award-winning painted, but it is very neatly painted, and it's quite good. So what I did is I decided to get it all out. So I made a list of everything I had. I then decided to open up the Soviet Army book for probably the very first time ever. Apart from looking at it, see what my opponent's armies have done in the past. And I looked at it and decided, yeah, it didn't have what I needed. So then I decided that in 1.5 weeks I was going to assemble and paint up some dog mine squads and some SMG squads and some other guys' SMGs, another commissar and a buddy to go with him, and Katyusha and a truck. So, having sent away for these things from Mighty Ape here in New Zealand, the two vehicles, I went for the Rubicon ones because, as you so rightly pointed out on one of your blog posts on our website before, www.valhallagames.net, that the Rubicon ones, of course, are easily assembled or easy to be ready left apart. You can change them for the Katyusha to the truck because it comes with a truck bed with the seating and everything in it as well. So that was fantastic.
Yeah. So they actually come with those sprues.
Yep.
They actually come with the Katyusha sprue, like the rocket launcher and all that, and they come with the truck. So don't ever buy, as a thing to everybody, don't ever buy the truck because it's the same price and you don't get the Katyusha sprue. So yeah, always buy the Katyusha even if you want a truck.
Yeah, I think the one difference is that the truck has got the canvas, the option to put the canvas on the back. When you have when you buy the Katyusha one, you get an extra sprue for the Katyusha missiles and racking and stuff like that. But you only get the ends of the canvas on the truck sprues. It's obviously missing the other canvas parts somehow.
Right, okay.
I don't know if they're singly cast like the cab is, which is very well done, by the way. And you just add so maybe it's just a singly cast part, like vac formed or whatever it is, or and it's got that curve in it, or whether you have to assemble it from parts, maybe a couple of curved parts on a sprue, but it's missing that part of the sprue.
Yeah, right. I already had one truck, so that's probably why I've got one, and I can swap as much as I want. So yeah, okay. All right, so 3/4 is 0.75 of a tip from Valhalla Games. Buy possibly, just buy. Yeah.
No, it's a great tip. It's a great tip. Honestly, I buy the Katyusha. Yeah, so there we go. I got those 48 hours later from Mighty Ape. And yeah, assembled them. Got out my my SMG squad, sort of guys on the sprue, put them together. So, cut a long story short, I threw some paint on them, washed it up. I followed your recipe, Rex, which again is available on the website.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I was actually really, really pleased to follow it along. It is different colours to the ones that I have painted already. I believe the guy that I got them off painted those as Citadel paints. They're very nice. However, two advantages to that. the guys which I stuck together, SMG squads, are in summer uniforms, whereas all my other guys that I have already are in winter uniforms. So bonuses, they look different.
Yep.
And I'll tell you why that's a bonus later. Just, yeah, it made things visually a bit easier for me running the list for the first time.
Okay.
So yeah, threw it together, painted up the trucks, everything. I was very happy. It wasn't to my normal standard, but there was no way I was going to be sort of nominating myself for best painted army or anything anyway, because I hadn't painted 9/10 of my army. Somebody else had, so I wasn't eligible for that. So I just relaxed a little bit, didn't get crazy or psycho or obsessed about finishing it all to the correct standard or my usual standard, and just basically base coded things ready for the day.
Okay, sounds good. Almost a relief then, just to play, tabletop standard, get it on the table, play with it. Which is, I'm not real fond of that term, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I had some interesting times with my my mind dogs though, because Valhalla Games and its crazy infinite wisdom must have known that I needed some, so they had it like a special deal, like a £2 off or something like that when I was looking for some other stuff, because I actually ordered a Battlefield Debris box that was just under £50. So for the free postage, I got a British Airborne characters box to go with that army, which took it over the 50. And then I was like, look at these mine dogs, these dog mines. I need some of those. So I threw them in as well, and they were ordered like 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they haven't arrived yet. So, but never mind.
They still haven't arrived, so you weren't able to play with them?
No, they still haven't arrived. But however,
okay.
Luckily...
Did you go down to the local hobby shop and get a couple of Prince Charles's corgis or something and just run them instead?
Yeah. What I did is I got out my Warlord Farm Animals sprue, and there is an Alsatian on there. I've also got I think it's a French Bulldog that I got with my War Bases dog kennel when I was sent away to War Bases, and got that piece of scatter terrain.
Yep.
And I also fished around and found some more Alsatians on a Pegasus Models Animal Sprue, 148. However, I didn't find my French Bulldog for a while, so I had to make do until I found that. So I got out some 8th Army packs, put them on the side of my 2 Labradors. That was good. My Alsatians. And then I needed some other animals, so I ended up having 2 bomb dogs, or mine dogs, 1 mine cat, and one mine Alsatian sitting down that I couldn't find the head for, and may have had a resculpted or partially resculpted pig's head on him.
Right, so that is pretty creative then.
Oh yeah,
no chickens, no mine chickens.
No mine chickens.
Okay.
The mine cat was pretty impressive though, and I'll go on to that later.
Right, well, I'd love to see the photos of that then. I hope even if you didn't take any on the day, I'll be glad to see it up on Valhalla Games, because I don't know, there could be a thing, commercial endeavor, mine cats.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the mine cats later. I'll go through my list for you, what I ended up with.
Yeah. Firstly, have you ever tried to train a cat to do anything?
No.
Maybe only good in bolt action. Mine cats.
Yeah.
Not good in real life.
I don't even think they're good in bolt action. I think there's a reason why the Soviets tried training dogs, and I don't think even that worked for them. That's why they gave it up. They were blowing up too many 272s.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Okay. Tell me about your list.
All right. So what I ended up with is single platoon, Battle of Stalingrad. That's right. I was that guy. However, as I said, I went single platoon. I did not go crazy, and I didn't go full asshole really. I went 16 order dice in a single platoon for 999 points.
I'll be very interested to see how you went with the 16 dice, because I played 16 dice Soviets last time, and yeah, I'll be very interested to see how you went with that. But continue, yes.
Okay then, so I've got a lieutenant. Okay, senior lieutenant. I've got with one buddy, SMGs, 2 SMG squads, actually 3. Fanatics, inexperienced. A commissar, he's inexperienced. Inexperienced rifle squad. A Strafbat squad. Took it up to 12 guys, 7 of them obviously unarmed. And there's shirkers, obviously. A free rifle squad. Okay, they're fanatics and anti-tank grenades. 2 sniper teams. I did those as regular just so they're a bit more resilient when they're getting shot at, no doubt, by the other snipers. A regular flamethrower team, again, just paid those little points to get them more resilient, and played another 5 points to get a ROX 2 a flamethrower so that the sniper couldn't pick him off.
Yeah, I love that upgrade.
Yeah, 5 points, I think it's worth it. 2 inexperienced dogmine teams, and they both had an NCO and 2 dudes with dogmines. One of the squads, the NCO, had a SMG, had a regular medium mortar with a spotter, a Katyusha, and a truck. And the truck was regular because it was my only sort of transport, and for the purpose of reserve or outflanking roles, I wanted that extra pip on the dice. I didn't want to be losing at a critical moment when I wanted to bring them onto the table. So yeah, 16 order dice, single platoon, 999 points, and I think I hopefully didn't lose too many friends over that. It didn't go too crazy. What do you think, Rex?
No, I think that's completely reasonable. I mean, 2 snipers stings a bit, but once you get 4 snipers, dual platoon, you're talking that's getting pretty cheesy. But yeah, 2 snipers is fine. In fact, there's not as many guys there as what I expected for all as inexperienced. I guess you did have quite a few upgraded to regular. And so, did you have your? Did you say your mortar was regular with a regular sniper like me? Inexperienced with an inexperienced sniper spotter like me last time.
No, they're regular.
Okay, you learned from my mistake. Then that's good.
Yeah. Got to use your spotter.
And those guys, your 2 squads. Tell me about your 2 squads again. Your main 2 squads.
Well, I've got quite a few squads. So I've got 3 SMG squads. Okay. They got fanatics because of the Stalingrad rule.
I was going to say that's where that fanatic comes from, is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right, all squads can pay to have it. The free rifle squads, because in the Stalingrad selector, gets free fanatics because the free rifle squad may get any free upgrades also for free. So hence the fact they've got anti-tank grenades, and in the Stalingrad selector they get fanatics.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. Last time I played Soviets, I didn't use a Stalingrad selector. I used some other thing, and I didn't know about the fanatic. Okay. All right. Good. Be interesting to see how they go. There's a lot of little men then.
Yeah, there was a lot of models. A lot of models on there, so luckily I had those guys painted to start with. But I mean, I avoided certain stuff. I avoided, I think it's the Ostfront book that has the Soviet flag, which you can add to any unit, and it's an upgrade, so you can add that to your free fanatic squad, your free rifle squad as well, because it's an upgrade that's eligible to them. But I avoided that. I avoided going 2 platoons. I avoided going too crazy on the triple slots the Soviets had. Basically, so here's the deal. I went there to prove a point to myself that I could play with inexperienced guys as well as veterans. I also went there to prove a point, which is, stop hating on theatre selectors maybe, because the Soviets can do crazy things just with the selectors that are in their army book. And in actual fact, even if you took the Stalingrad selector away from the army book because you didn't like that one and you banned that one, Soviets can still do crazy things. All these triple slots you can take for one slot. And the sheer weight of guys you can get, like the Strathbat squads for. I mean, those 12 guys in the Strathbat squad. Granted, 7 of them are unarmed, but they've cost 27 points.
Yeah. Yeah, 6x4 table, there's only so much room on the table. So, just by sheer weight and numbers, you actually put your opponent on the back foot just by blocking them. So, yeah, that's interesting.
Well, we shall see. We shall see, won't we?
Right, okay, so that is it. So no armoured vehicles?
No armored vehicles.
Why was that? Because you didn't have time to paint them?
Oh no, I've got 3 T-72s and a KV-2 and armoured car, all that sort of stuff. I've got them all painted up. I've got 2 IS-2s painted up. I'm pretty sure you know this, but I think you're teasing it out of me for the listeners at home.
Yeah.
But no, I just didn't go for that. I went for something. Yeah, if I was going for Stalingrad, I just went for something you might see in something that Hollywood might do about that time. So maybe a enemy at the gates type thing, with a couple of snipers and a bunch of the fanatics running across the board and the commissar standing behind them type thing. Actually, I've just caught myself there. Did I say T-72?
I think you were. You're trying to use 1970s technology on your poor opponents from 1945.
That sounds fair. It sounds fair. It sounds like something I'd do, doesn't it?
That's definitely
obviously
cheese.
T-34s.
Yeah, that's definitely cheese.
Obviously T-34s. I suspect actually that I said that a couple of times and not just the once.
Yeah, well, yeah, that has me for not picking it up.
All right. So yeah, I've got all that stuff. As I say, I thought I'd sort of play maybe an enemy at the gates type thing, with a view to sort of playing something you might be playing versus me in Stalingrad.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, they're really. A lot of people hate on the Soviets because they can play really quirky games. You can play any way you want to play, but I just love them because you can play anything you want to play. Like if you want to play like a infantry heavy squad, you can play that. If you want to play a inexperienced infantry heavy squad, you can play that. If you want to play vehicle heavy squad, you can play that. If you want to play artillery heavy, you can play that. So yeah, they've got unlimited ways that you can play them, which prevents them from being that sort of 1-2-3 combination that you might get with other armies. So it gives you lots of replayability in terms of playing them in different ways. So yeah, I think Soviets are great.
Yeah, I think there are friends over at the Juggernaut Bolt Action podcast, which if you don't listen to, guys, get over and find that on your favourite podcast server. So I think they said, the rules say all the other armies you must play it this way, and Soviets play it any way that you want.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and they're pretty keen on their dog squads too. Did you have an inexperienced mule?
No, I didn't.
So? Okay. Right.
No, I didn't.
All right. Well, you need to go and listen to more Juggernauts podcasts.
All right. I've let them down. I let Toph and the lads down.
Yep.
Sorry, Toph. All right. So shall we talk about the big day, Saturday morning?
Yeah, for sure.
So I got to the venue. I got there as quick as I could after work. Got in and found out that we had got the table set up. Thank you, guys who were there before me. And we've got 6 players. Now, to a lot of people, that might seem, that's a bit, it doesn't sound like a very exciting event. But I happen to have some pretty strong thoughts on having 6 players. I think if you look at it a certain way, and this is important, that before this event we were told that everyone would play everyone. We weren't dividing it into Axis playing allies or anything like that. So we were told this beforehand, so it was actually planned this way. Is that with 6 players, it was a 5-game event. Everybody was playing everybody. So, quite frankly, I thought that was an excellent number.
Yeah, that is a good idea. Yeah, that is a good idea, and very balancing too in terms of points to the outcome, because you haven't just happened to draw, the first, a couple of guys at the beginning, a couple of guys at the end. So like a Swiss tournament's kind of a different thing. So yeah, I like it.
Yep.
And you get to meet everybody as well.
No, it is good. I mean, there's not like 20, 30 players you haven't played, and you were like, oh, was that sample size not big enough? Same with your Swiss thing you were just talking about. Was the sample size big enough? Everybody is playing everybody. So looking around, 6 players, I was completely happy with that. We had the 3 tables. I'll give you a breakdown of sort of what they looked like visually. And I did get photos of these sort of before the carnage and the maelstrom started. So I'll put these up on our website on the blog. So basically 3 tables. The first one was a Tunisian style mat, sort of desert but red. We had some wadis, some low jebels or hills. We had some palm trees, sort of copses. Then we had a Tunisian village style buildings, square buildings, adobe buildings, I think it is. The buildings arranged in the centre, which created a rough sort of crossroads in the centre of town with a well and a palm that didn't really count for cover, just offset. The hills were spaced out. 3 of the corners had hills in it, low hills, which counted as rough ground. We had the palm trees, and they were in all 4 corners as well, probably about a foot in. So behind every hill and every palm trees, you basically had an area that you could hide things if you wanted to, or maneuver around in, that sort of thing. So it's actually quite a balanced table, that one.
Okay.
So
good.
I guess we'll call that the Tunisian table, eh? Does that make sense, Rex?
Sounds good.
Good. Is this delighting your oral palate? Am I painting this picture sufficiently?
You are, yes. I'm getting a feel for it, and so I've started my strategy already. I know I'm going to hide my mortar behind those hills in the corner there, and spot her up on top. I'm all good.
All right. Well, you are not the only one, my friend. We'll come on to that in a minute. All right. Next table. So we'll call this the bocage table. So basically, it is a Western Europe, France. It's got high bocage fields, bocage hedges, either side of a Y-shaped road. The road's got no craters on it or anything like that. The road runs from one of the short edges and then spreads out into a Y shape and runs towards either of the players' long edges. Both the players' long edges, about 2/3 of the way down. Also on that table is a whole bunch of low hedges. So the rest of the farm fields are very, they're quite tight sort of fields in most places. There are some bigger ones, about 3/4 foot square. But yeah, the majority of them have got smaller fields with low hedges around them. The bocage itself has got a couple of gaps in it on each side. One little sort of pedestrian gap and a couple of gaps that vehicles could actually drive through into the fields off the road. Well, the bocage is played, so the terrain was discussed at the start, and the TO told us that the bocage hedges would be couldn't see through them. If you were up against them, you're considered as hiding in them at the roots, or finding a little mouse hole to see through them, so you could see through and shoot through with no penalty once you were at them. But they were rough ground as well for purpose of movement, and if you were standing back from them, like you weren't manning the obstacle, then you couldn't be seen unless there was someone manning that obstacle the other side. Make sense, Rex?
Makes sense. If you're up next to them, a hard cover?
No, soft cover.
Okay. A Y-shaped road is interesting. I don't think I've ever seen that on a board before. It really negates the advantage to some degree, depending on the scenario. Because why would you want to, pun not intended, why would you want to roll all the way up the Y on your truck to get to the short edge and then have to roll it all the way down again the other Y? So, interesting.
Well, so the centre of the Y, if you like, where all 3 legs met, was actually in the centre of the board.
Ah, yes, okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Gotcha. But good cover for the vehicles right up until the point they actually meet at the Y, and then it's carnage.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Good, so that shall be known henceforth as the bocage board.
Bocage board, Roger. Gotcha.
And then we had one more, okay, which we'll call the Crated Village board. Okay, there is in the middle of this board, smack bang in the middle, there is a double ruined building, like multiple stories. I think it's 3-story ruined building. There is, again, a Y-shaped road running down this one. Now, this one here, comes from the short table edge into the center where the buildings are, then carries on all the way to the up one short edge and carries and turns and runs towards a player's long edge, if you know what I mean.
Yep, gotcha.
Okay, good. Either side of the building. Now, however, those legs, once you get towards the center of the table, they are all crated towards the center in the bombed out building.
Not so great for a guy that didn't bring any tracked vehicles.
Yeah. Very thematic though. I mean, bombed out building, crated roads around them. I liked it.
Yep, good.
Also on this board, there is a number of small hedged fields at the long table edges. Okay, a couple each side. There's a bunch of open ground, but in that bunch of open ground, there is what we call grassy knolls, the type that the gunman shot from the grassy knolls.
Yep.
So
gotcha.
they're just obscuring figures on the other side, infantry figures on the other side. So they're just over head height. They're probably about maybe 6 to 8 inches and roughly sort of a oval shape.
Perfect for a sniper to hide on fire and then disappear into history, never to be heard of again.
Yeah, could be. So, that there is a roundup of the 3 boards. They didn't change throughout the weekend. Do you want me to tell you how the game 1 went?
I do. So
Okay,
5
good.
games, 3 games on Saturday, 2 games on Sunday, right?
Yep, that's the one.
Yep.
That's the one. I should have said as well, there's no armoured platoons. Yep, there wasn't a limit on order dice. There wasn't a limit on just 1 platoon, but there was no armoured platoons and no theatre selectors, except a couple that the TO had designated, such as the French one from the Western Desert and a couple of other ones that aren't available unless you use a campaign or theatre book.
Righto, okay.
All right. Now, I'll get into game 1. So game 1, everybody was playing the same missions, by the way, each round. And as we got there, our TO told us that each game he would be shuffling up a bunch of secret objectives cards, then place them face down, and you'd draw your secret objective card. So would your opponent. Everyone would draw one each. They then have a look at it, put it in your pocket, and then if you made that objective during the course of the game, you'd show it to your opponent, and that would be worth an extra victory point at the end of the game.
Okay, hang on. So the scenarios are tied to the games or to the tables, meaning that everybody on the first round played whatever.
Everybody in the
scenario.
first round played Demolition.
Okay, so you may or may not get a table that suits your army and suits the scenario. Okay, all right. Yes.
Correct. Okay, and then your secret mission cards, your secret objective, which is a secondary objective. So a win was worth 3 points, a draw or a bye is worth 2 points, a loss is worth 1 point, and your secret objective or your secondary objective was worth 1 point as well. So if you got a draw, but you got your secondary objective, you could get 3 points, which is the same as the win. So quite handy.
Okay, so I'm excited. I actually want to play now. I actually want to pack up podcasting and head down to the garage and play some games. It got me going. Got me going, Dan.
Good. Right, so game 1. Okay, I'm against Dave. We actually have 2 Daves in our club, and they're both in this tournament. So this is young Dave.
Young Dave,
as he likes to be called.
Okay.
Mission is Demolition, and we are on the Tunisian board. So the one that's sort of very quite equal and opposites, hills, oases, and then a central sort of village.
Righto.
So, it's Demolition. I won the roll-off. I placed my home objective just right of the centre on my side of the table in the deployment zone. So I had a small hill to my right of where I placed it. Okay, in case I had those dastardly outflanking guys from reserve. And to the left, I had a line of small berms with a gap in between them, sort of lining the imaginary road running into the centre of town.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of trying to anchor things on either side of my objective there, break up anyone bringing vehicles. So Dave, in turn, he deployed his halfway between his centre and his right flank also. So we're sort of diagonally looking across the table. So having seen that, I quickly formulated a battle plan, Rex. So my plan was, and this is how I played it out, right? When I was doing deployment, I left my Strafbat squad, so that 12-man squad, with the 7 dudes that are just basically ablative wounds to die.
Yep.
Right, I left them behind on my objective, and then I got 1 SMG squad, okay, to their right, okay, which is the other side of the hill, okay, to beat off the surely inevitable German flanking or mobile onslaught that would come. All right, and then I took a rifle squad. I put them to the left. Yep, and then I took my dog mines. Okay, I put one to the right there, and I put my other dog mines out to my sort of just left of center. Oh, I got my fanatic squad to put that out to the left of my extreme left flank. Okay, and I grabbed my another fanatic SMG squad, and I was like, you know what? We're doing demolition. I've got a truck. I've got these dudes, right? I'm going to put them in my truck, and I'm going to leave them out flanking. So that's what I did, Rex. That's what I did. It was a brilliant plan, just absolutely brilliant plan. Strategic genius.
Okay.
All right. And then I put my Katusha on the extreme left flank. I get to see his eyes on his home objective, and there's some units in the open. All right, because he's deploying stuff as well. Okay, I've got central SMG and rifle teams just left of the center. Oh, I'm all set up. And then he goes, and all my guys are hidden. I'm like, oh, okay, you're sort of supposed to say that as you go along, but I was like, okay, cool. And I'm like, but the guys who are standing out in the open, visible to me, they can't be hidden because it says in the rules, to be hidden, you have to be in cover or out of sight of me to start with, because you can't just hide in the open. And he's like, oh, okay, all right, cool. So that wasn't a big deal. We didn't make a big deal of it. So he had a couple of guys I could see, and luckily, one of them was a couple of units, and one of them was sort of in the open near his objective, but had some other squads around them on the side and a clear view of my Katusha.
All right, yep.
However, Rex, you'll notice I was praising myself for my pure strategic genius earlier.
Yes.
Which is
just always the pride before the fall.
Right. Actually, yeah. I was starting to regret it halfway through my deployment. Okay, because I actually stopped 1 minute and I had to take a long, hard look in the mirror. I was like, how rusty are you, man? Because I hadn't asked to look at an army list, and Dave is deploying stuff straight from his army bag, from his carry case.
Okay, yeah.
And as he's doing it, and I've set up all these dudes for an outflanking and everything, I said, have you got any vehicles? He says, no. I'm like, okay. So I've deployed these guys. They can't run up the road to me. They got to hot foot it, and they can't, he's not outflanking anything. So he's not, and I've got all these guys around this thing. It's like and I left my officer and my commissar near the objective as well. I was like, what are you doing, Dan? Like, I just completely turned the way I play every game on its head. And I just had 10 minutes of madness, just sheer madness.
Yeah,
it was amusing. It was amusing, however, that he did actually end up having a vehicle, which was basically an armored car. But he didn't put it anywhere near threatening my objective. He put it on his right flank, my extreme left flank. And so he did have a vehicle in the end after telling me no. But yeah, so I just completely decided this was the plot that was going to play out in my head. Hadn't even seen his army, didn't even see what he had, and I just deployed that way. Absolutely terrible. It showed how rusty I was, eh?
It's been a while since we've played anything serious, so yeah, it's probably not to be expected. So you played like me then? That's what you're saying? Just in your own world. It's like, yeah, this will look nice. Oh, look.
Yeah.
Bomb kitty. Oh, lovely. All right, go on.
All right. So basically, this basically meant that I've got a really strong defensive force on my right flank where he's not going to come. Well, not very quick anyway, unless he walks upwards. And on his left flank that they were facing, it was nothing. It was just small teams. There was a sniper and a mortar hidden behind the palm trees with a spotter that was hidden inside one of the buildings. He's got a Shrek team. And one here squad. No vehicle to drive it up there, and compared to that, I sort of doubled down on my rustiness because I'd made errors, leaving my commissar and officer there, and my left flank sort of wants to tack forward towards this thing, and the officer and the commissar aren't there, so it was just madness. But yeah, so what happened in the end is that. Dave ended up with a couple of Hare squads on his right flank. There was a Pioneer squad as well with a flamethrower, and they were quite far towards his objective, like deep back in the centre of the table behind the last of the buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So they were supported by the officer's team, sort of in a wood line next to them, and a Waffen SS squad also went in the wood line as well, and the motorbike went behind that tree line. So he left that large Hare squad out in the open, with officer squads and the Hare squads around it. And this is when I went, all right, so first dice come out of the bag. So I don't know, he had probably, 10 dice or something like that. He had quite a few small teams, actually, or smaller teams. Even his Hare squads only had about 8 guys max. However, first dice comes out, it's mine. So put on the Katyusha. I'm like, yep, I'm going to fire at that squad over there that's not hidden. So roll the dice. 6. Hit.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people say Katyusha's never hit anything, but I don't know. Every game I've ever been in, they've been just deadly.
Yep. So hit them. Missed the other 3 squads that it could fire at. However, the psychological effect was cemented when I rolled for wounds and wounded everybody that was under the template, and they all died. And the squad was deleted, ran away off the table.
Yep.
So big psychological effect there.
Yep. I hope you deleted them nicely. I hope you smiled while you deleted them.
Yeah, I did. I sort of felt a wee bit like, oh, okay then, all right. I mean, it's a powerful psychological weapon in real life, but definitely in game terms too, because he was going, what the... So there's you can imagine the scene. He's got like all these squads running across the table at him. The Katyusha's just deleted a unit. He's seen that, I could have deleted 3 or 4 others as well. And it's just like, actually 3 others. 3 others as well. So, yeah, so that was the start. It was, I did not play this game well. As we went on, my mortar went to shoot it as spotter, which had, the spotter had tried to call in fire for his mortar that turn. So I destroyed his spotter. That left his medium mortar without a spotter behind a wood, so that took him out of the game. My sniper destroyed his Shrek team, his Panzer Shrek team. That was great for me because I had the secret objective card, which was destroy one of his teams with one of my teams. So that worked out really well.
Okay, good. What is it with you rolling 6s from mortars and Katyushas?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, go on.
So I'm basically running across my left flank, towards running across the table. He's opening up. He's got the veteran Waffen SS. The other guys are regular, but they're just staying put, just mowing me down as I'm running across no man's land. It's like an open killing field, it really is. And as quick as I can, I'm bringing these units over that I had stacked up in the centre to counter the inevitable and totally non-existent threat. And my commissar and officer come over as well to try and keep pushing them onwards. I'm just throwing guys into the meat grinder, really. In particular, the MMG squad, you can see down the left-hand side of the row of the buildings. I can see the pine. So that's his one. He's taken a few casualties here and there off my Strafbat squad. I can see his pioneers, but for the life of me, my other sniper can't hit anyone. I'm desperately trying to shoot one of these pioneers because it's got a flamethrower in the unit. So, if I can wound it. But no,
Yep.
Either I hit and I didn't wound or whatever. They're just sitting there completely impervious to my sniper. If only the other guy was on, the other guy had changed sides, I think it would have been better off.
Yeah.
But
Right.
so basically, I'm running up rifle squads, and I've got my Fanatic SMGs behind them. What I'm trying to do is lure his here squads off that objective. So my SMG squad might be able to double team. I've got my officer over there now. I might be able to snap to get in a shooting, assaulting, or double shooting, and try to, get myself towards the objective, the demolition objective. It's just not going anywhere. I'm throwing units into meat grind. They're getting picked off one by one. He gets his Waffen SS unit close to my guys. I run out with my flamethrower, flame them at point blank range, hit, do one wound.
Right.
This guy's passed the leadership, passed the morale check as well. Then they proceeded to assault my flamethrower and destroy him, and they got him his secret objective. So I gave him another point there, basically. So I'm like, we get to turn 3, and it's taken so long with the dice draw setup.
Yeah.
That it's, we're only going to get to the finish of turn 3, and I'm like, I've got these guys now flanking, so I try to create a channel where I draw his here up, try to zoom on my truck, debust the guys in SMG, open fire, try to delete a unit and get some more kill points, because that's a sort of tie-break situation for, a win situation. Didn't even manage to kill a unit, and that's basically how it finished. It finished
Right.
off in a draw. We only got to the end of turn 3. Yeah. So I got, in the end, 2 points each for a draw. We both got our objective, our secondary objective, so we ended up with 3 points each for the equivalent of a win. So, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Right. Interesting game. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so how did you find pulling 16 dice each time? Was that what slowed you down?
Yeah. Honestly, it was more about deploying it, I think.
Yeah.
So I learned something about. Actually, I learned a lot of things about it. So I realised that I was playing too slow. But then another game later on in the event, I'll tell you about another learning I had. But yeah, I was too slow. I was too slow to deploy, and I was too slow to move. And when you deploy in the wrong place, then have to hot-foot it across an open killing field like that. That's not good when you're trying to do the shuffle, the two-step, left, all the way across to try and assault.
Yeah. Yeah, I had exactly the same thing in my last tournament with 16 dice. I just really underestimated how it was first time again with that really high dice count. Just really underestimated how long it was actually going to take to play the game. So by the end of it, I was just pulling dice and making decisions and just moving guys, and it was like without too much care or worry, just trying to get the dice out of the bag. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I really learned a lot in that game, and I was determined not to repeat those mistakes. And I learned a lot more in a game later on. So we'll come back to this because I really got some more stuff to say about it.
And first game of the new army. So yeah, that's pretty tough. So to get a draw, I'd be pretty happy with that.
Well, considering I made so many mistakes, I was happy to get away with it. I don't think I was lucky to get away with it, but I think I was happy to get away with it.
Yep.
Yeah. I was probably Demolition was a tough game for me to play with my army. However, versus that opponent, versus that army that he was playing, I think I could have had much worse armies to play, and that could have resulted in a defeat for me. So yeah.
All right.
So
Game
anyway,
one.
yeah. So we had some lunch, came back after lunch, and our second game was against Nathan, who was the tournament organizer. We were playing on the ruined building and cratered roads board.
Yep.
And Nathan had a fantastically painted Soviet naval force.
Really? Okay. I've
Yeah.
seen Soviet naval guys, but never an entire force sort of based around it. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So highlights his army that I can remember. He had a T-34 76. He had a Su-76 as well, which he's taking instead of his free infantry squad. I think he's taking 3, I believe, veteran naval units. He had a veteran pioneer squad, assault engineer squad. They were also painted up as, he was using the naval units, and he'd invested in a lovely model from Stoicy's Heroes of an actual named female Soviet naval officer with like a loud hailer sort of cone, if you know what I mean, to yell instructions at her guys.
Okay.
As well as that, he had a sniper, a heavy mortar, an MMG. Ooh, yep, that about rounds it up. It was a really nicely painted army.
Did he have a submarine?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
You do, though.
I do, yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right, go on.
So, objectives are placed. Basically, what we had is so I won the roll off. Both sides are fairly even. I had the side that the cratered road did not run to. So the road run from my short edge to my short edge, or in front of me, short edge to short edge, and Nathan had the side that the cratered road, the Y, run around the back side of the building and to his edge.
Yep.
Judging by our forces, I'm not really going to make a lot of difference. So yeah, I was happy. I was happy because the objectives are probably slightly close to me, because the placement of them, we had one on the extreme left flank in the middle of the open ground. We had one sort of halfway on the left flank behind the knolls I was talking about, on my side of the knoll. The central one really was central. It was on my side of the ruined building. So again, that was another benefit. That's why I changed that side. And we had one on the right flank in a hayfield. That's the 4 objectives.
All right, yep. What was the scenario, sorry?
Key objectives.
Right.
Key objectives. Then control more objectives than your opponent.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, cool. What do we got? So, we'll explain the deployments. Yeah, there we go. So they remember those little knolls blocking line of sight for infantry, which is going to come in really important. Now, having learnt from the previous game, I made sure I put the two of the Fnatic SMG squads very central. I put the truck with the third SMG squad on my right flank, and I had a dog mine squad outside the truck, but running along sort of next to it. I also had a mortar spotter over there as well, because I had the mortar towards my left flank, and so I could see her in and around behind that building at the enemy's forces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The other dog mines are central as well, is because when I placed them down, he hasn't placed his armoured fighting vehicles yet. So I didn't know where they were going to go. I had one on the right, and I figured I'd have one towards the left, but I figured if I keep it central, then I could hedge my bets both ways.
Yep.
My tank hunters, my Free Fanatics rifle squad, which of course got tank hunter, because of the anti-tank grenades. So I put them on my extreme left flank with a commissar behind them. I have got the officer deployed centrally as well. I've got my Katyusha just right of centre too, and those are probably the highlights of mine. The Katyusha makes sure it's got good arcs of visibility, can see in behind the building. Well, obviously not clearly, but as he was deploying, I could see where his forces are going to go. So the majority of his forces. So I was pretty happy with my field of view. I could see to the left, I could see to the right, and I could see where his guys are behind. So I noticed that he had sort of bunched his guys up as well, in that centre of the board.
Yeah.
So he sort of had the veteran engineers, he had his officer squad, and he's got a heavy mortar there as well as a sniper. So I get first dice of the game. Yep, I noticed that all his guys are bunched up. I rolled poorly for everybody though, Rex, except I get a 6 for the heavy mortar, and I managed to remove it. So first dice of the game. Okay, again I get to roll for 3 or 4 squads and removed his heavy mortar.
Okay, all right, that's good. Those heavy mortars, they do some damage, so that's worth having for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Nathan loves those, and they are a psychological thing. I know that because my mortar is basically my Katyusha. Now, I owe myself my secondary objective of the tournament or the event because my secondary objective this time was destroying an enemy unit, with a fire order. So no better weapon to try and achieve that than a Katyusha, I guess, and a bunch of bunched up enemy squads, eh?
Yep. Yep. As opposed to an assault, is that what that's saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, yep.
So I think that's a particularly big win for me because a bit of tactics, we've got these destroyed craters all around the place, or these cratered roads and stuff, and it was pointed out to us in the terrain brief at the start that they would count as hard cover if you're standing in them, but also if you fired across those road segments. So basically what I've done is I've taken now as only indirect fire capability that would negate that negative. So now everything he's got, including his big guns, his 76mm on both those armoured fighting vehicles, if they're going to fire across those craters, well, they're going to get a -2 for hard cover.
Right, okay, that's significant.
Yeah, yep. So I was particularly happy with that.
Good.
Yeah, plus, of course, I've got 2 objectives that I'm holding, or I'm about to hold, because they're just on my side of the table, and I will make it there first with a little bit of luck, which are on dead ground, out of line of sight on my side of line of sight blocking terrain, the building and that grassy knoll. And the grassy knoll, I've got my Strafbat running towards it. They're my objective holders, with the commissar nearby, in case they do actually get someone come around them somehow and get line of sight to them. And I've got my SMG squad running up, or a SMG squad running up the centre towards that objective behind the building out of sight as well. So big win for me taking out that heavy mortar, eh?
Yep. And both those units are hard to assault.
Yep.
One's large and one's tough fighter. So
yep,
good stuff. Well done.
Yeah, so basically I'm moving up on both flanks. I'm bombing my truck up on on my right flank, his left. He opens fire with FU-76 as soon as he advances on with it. Doesn't hit. He fires it again as it comes across the board. Again, doesn't hit. So I got the luck of the Irish. I come advance at the last time and get my guys out and put them on just going up the grassy knoll on my side, and his naval squad is just on the other side of the knoll. So my guys are just cresting it. They can see, and he can see me. Yep. How far apart are we? It looks like 6 inches, but we'll have to find out the next turn.
Right. Okay. Yep.
Yep. My dog mines, they get close enough to his SU-76. Right nearby to that same little part of the table, and I dispatch them. I dispatch both of them. I've only got 2 vehicles to face off against. My vehicles are I've got my truck, which is quite close, but I'm quite willing to lose it based on the proximity of the SU-76. So I roll my dice. Yep, my dogs get there. One of them, I think he rolled a 3, so no effect, and the other one explodes underneath the SU-76 and destroys it.
Right, okay. So that's his
happy
only
days.
anti-tank. That's his only
No,
anti-vehicle.
he's got the T-34.
Ah, right, okay, yeah, gotcha. Yep.
Yeah, he's got the T-34 as well. But remember, I don't have any tanks. I don't have anything that he needs that. It's overkill.
Once you get your guys out of the truck, then who cares what happens to the truck?
Yep, and they're out of the truck. They're out of the truck. I don't care. I actually don't care. All I care about now is, can I avoid that T-34? Or, if it's convenient for me, I'll try and destroy it. What I don't want is it rolling onto objectives. Now, it can't hold objectives. It could park on top of one, though.
Yep.
And it could tank shock me off some. So I want to sort of just bog it down, hold it up somehow if I can. If not, then avoid it and hope he gets distracted by something. And that's what he does.
Right, okay.
So he goes up the centre, veers off to his right, slightly my left, gets a line of sight on my Katyusha, and starts firing at it across the craters. So where he is, he's just at long range. He's got -2 as well for the craters, needing 6s. Okay, he's firing his MMGs into my Fanatic free rifle squad. I'm happy, they'll take it. I've got the Commissar right there as well in case they don't. Okay, so they take a couple of casualties. Meh, we care not. And he misses the Katyusha. He fires again the next turn, same thing again, misses the Katyusha. So he's basically holding himself up. I'm completely happy. If the Katyusha does nothing else this game, it's had that psychological effect, and it's drawing that fire and stopping him from moving.
And I was about to say, I bet he's cursing the TO for the fact that he didn't make it hardcover only for infantry units. But then he is the TO, so what does it matter?
Yeah. Well, I don't know what he thinks about that after that. So meantime, my dog mines have managed to come up the centre around the building. I dispatched them both at the T-34, and they failed to do anything.
Right, okay.
But my handler, there's an NCO left after the other guys get destroyed. So the NCO's left, runs out with his SMG and his anti-tank grenades, basically starts punching the side of the vehicle, doing nothing, but just generally making a wally of himself and distracting the guy, distracting Nathan from moving it forward.
Yep. Good one.
Yeah. So my Striper destroyed his. Okay. But I didn't have any more luck firing at the rest of this game, really. And I also didn't have any more luck firing at the big group of units at the centre of the board, okay, which are now moving towards that central objective in the buildings. Okay, so look at the right flank now. We've got these two guys, or these two units. He's at the bottom of the grassy knoll. I'm just cresting it. So I go to measure. Yep.
Hopefully you declared first that you were going to assault.
No, I'm shooting now. I'm shooting.
All right, okay. Yep.
I'm shooting. I look at it and I go to measure and I go, we'll call it long range. And he measures, he goes, no, point blank. And I'm like, oh. Because then he knows it's 6 inches.
Yep.
And I left this hanging. Sorry, I said we'll find out next turn, but I left this hanging incorrectly. This is actually the same turn I disembarked, because that's why I advanced my guys, got them out. So it's not the next turn, sorry, it's this turn.
Yep.
So he measured and found out it was 6 inches, so I had the bonus of point blank, but I had this advantage that he now knew that was within range, so that I couldn't basically overwatch him. Now I knew as well.
Yeah,
but I didn't really want
so
that
you
to
could
happen.
charge your next round without any penalty.
Yeah, exactly.
It was going to be all on.
Yeah. So anyway, I destroy a couple of his guys. In return, he pulls his dice, but fails his order test, so he can't shoot me or assault me, do anything. He failed his order.
Right. Okay.
So he goes down.
Okay.
So next turn now, we're like, what's going to happen here? So we pull a dice. I put it on these guys to start with. Now, they've only got one pin on them. Okay, from various shooting that turn. And I go to assault, fail order to go down.
No. Yeah.
So he decides to assault me. Yep, because I've got a dice on me. I can't fire back.
Yep. So he's still
Fails
got
his
a pin
order
on him.
test.
Fails the second order test.
He fails his order test.
Yep. Yep.
All right, we're locked there. The next turn, so I'm like, oh, that same turn, I'm like, I got to get the officer over there quick. So I start running the officer over there. The officer comes over. He's got his pistol out. He's ready to pistol whip somebody. He's not quite the commissar, but hopefully his order bonus will be good. Get him close. Don't need it this time. Finally roll the assault and roll them up.
Right.
Because they're in the open. Even though I'm inexperienced, I get to hit first. Everybody with SMGs. I've only taken, I think, one casualty or something like that. Yeah, it was. It turned out to be sort of easy meat in the end, but it was a tense moment anyway with the 3 failed order checks in a row.
Yeah, once you finally got them moving.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, good.
Yep.
Oh, fun. Were you yelling and screaming at the dice by this point?
Sorry?
Were you yelling and screaming at the dice?
Yeah. On my left flank, his right, he's moving his naval squad up towards that open ground objective in the middle there. I've got nothing really to fire at him. Just a couple of just the dudes, inexperienced rifle squad. They're not really doing much. Okay, at the moment he's behind cover behind the knolls and stuff like that as he's moving up. So they can't be seen by my Katyusha or anything like that as well. So a bit tough for me there. My Strafbat's still holding the that second objective over there. I'm still holding the middle, but he is bringing up now his officer squad. That engineer squad is coming up there now, and they're right on me. The Katyusha targets him, rolls a 6.
You and your 6s, indirect fire 6s. That's your new name, indirect fire 6 Dan.
Targets him, wipes over half of them out. They fail the morale test, they're gone. SMG squad runs out from around the corner, guns down the officer squad. They're gone as well. It sort of starts falling apart for him here. He tries to he destroys my my tank hunter guy that's knocking on the side of his tank. Still trying to shoot at my Katyusha. He's pretty determined to kill it for some satisfaction. Fails again to roll a 6. Next turn, so the final turn, I'm holding 3 objectives. My dog mines that are my dog mine handlers that'll let go the dog mines have run on to the objective in the hayfield on the right hand flank.
Mm-hmm.
So I hold 3. There's one that's not being held by anyone. He runs his naval squad onto it. Looks like he's going to hold 1. However, he's moved his guy quite far out to one side. My Katyusha can see him. Next dice comes out, give it to Katyusha, opens fire, deletes that squad.
All right, so that 68 points or whatever that your Katyusha cost, it's probably just about got its value worth now.
I would say so in spades, yeah.
Yeah.
So ended up, I held 3 objectives. He held none, and I destroyed everything on the table of his apart from the T-34.
Right. Okay. Was he still smiling?
He was, because we had a great game.
It sounds like a really great game.
That result belied how close it got. I'm pretty sure I would have had a good shout with all the SMG squads in the middle for firing at his assault engineer squad. They did not have body armor, but that remained to be seen. I had some luck with the Katyusha, but I had a solid plan that I was really happy with to repel him. Had that not worked, it was a good game. We had lots of fun, and his army was really nicely painted.
Does sound like the perfect game, doesn't it? When it's just things are unfolding and things are changing, and the battlefield's swinging backwards and forwards, and and then it all starts to collapse, and you're trying to claw it back, and then that's the end. But certainly the getting there is plenty of fun. So it sounds great. All right, so game 2, 1 draw and 1 win.
Yep, that's right. So I got 7 points out of potential 8 for the first 2 games.
So definitely a pretty comprehensive win.
Yep. I would say last game of day one, and it was drawn, so I was against Al's Japanese Veteran Infantry Army. And this has been the army that I'd been told all day that I was going to have trouble against with my many small units of ragtag inexperienced Soviets. So, yeah, I was interested to see how to go. I hadn't had a chance to see everybody else's army during the day because the day was sort of went very quick. So I had played Japanese before. Dave at the club plays Japanese. So I was expecting hordes of regular / inexperienced infantry, banzaiing me everywhere they can. And what I got was a veteran infantry army.
All right.
Which, I thought was a pretty unique take on it. So we got a sectors mission, and the board we were playing on, I was back on the Tunisian board.
Yep.
So Al won the roll-off, and he chose the sides and the quarters. So you'll be able to see the pictures of these tables, remember, on our website's blog, www.valhallagames.net. And when you look at it, you'll be able to see that Al chose the side and the corner, or the quarter, if you like, of the board that had no hill in it. So he's chosen that side there, and being sectors, I had to choose the opposite quarter or quadrant. So we're both playing sort of our left-hand side of the board across diagonally.
Yep.
So Al's army is really nicely painted and modelled. Had some really nice pre-purchased Japanese flags, actually. They're the type you buy that have like little shading on them to show this sort of fluttering in the flag. They're really good. It had 3 15-man rifleman squads, 2-man officer squads. I think he had a sniper, and for the life of me, Rex, honestly, I can't remember what else he had to play because it was a bit of a whirlwind getting this one deployed because we had a lot of infantry to get on and get set up. Obviously, we can't, set up as per the sector's mission. Trying to get more of our units in the enemy sector, getting 3 points for each of those units that finish the game in that sector, and additional kill point for units of the enemies you have destroyed, and I believe it's 2 points for any units you have in the neutral sectors, I guess, between you. Sound about right, Rex?
Yep, that sounds right. I've only played it a couple of times actually, oddly, but yeah, that sounds about right.
So I had a couple of missions to this game, and to sum it up pretty quickly or succinctly. Try and stay away from getting banzaied by his veterans, being fanatics as well. My fanatic, inexperienced guys weren't going to last too long against his veteran fanatics. So I wanted to try and whittle them down using my firepower if I could, in particular the SMG squads. To do that, I decided to keep my officer near the front and keep my SMG squads to the fore. They were going to be pretty vital with the extra shots and negating their inexperienced negative modifiers, just moving to try and get into point blank, hopefully, and use their superior shots against the riflemen. So, put quite simply, it played out. Obviously, everybody's very aggressive. As so often happens in the sector mission, what happened was we basically swung through the unoccupied quarters or quadrants, and we swung through it in sort of a clockwise manner. So Al came through the sector to my right. I went through the sector to his right, and across the board on my left. I managed to keep him at arm's length. At one stage, I moved into a building that wasn't a good move, and luckily for me, I had one pin on me, and when I went to decide to assault his guys, which was a moment of madness, my infantry, my SMG squad decided to look at me and go, no. They had one pin on them, they failed their test. The commissar was nowhere near to be seen, and they promptly ran away as well from the result, and I think that was actually probably a much better result I could have got from actually assaulting them, to be honest. It created another buffer zone. I managed to get another SMG squad up there with them, And when the Japanese appeared from the building, I then snapped to with my officer and double teamed them with some SMG fire and wiped them out. And that was sort of repeated a couple of times for another big squad. And simply in the end, because I used those SMG squads at the fore, used Snap 2 and outnumbered them, kept them at arm's reach and sort of run and gun, so to speak. I kept him at arm's reach. He managed to get one full squad and a smaller couple of guys, can't remember what they were, but they were basically coming around. They were going to get into my deployment zone, and I realised then at this stage that in actual fact I had the game won. All I had to do was stay away from him, let him get into that deployment zone, and swing all my guys around. I had 2 sniper squads and a flamethrower squad already inside a truck, hiding behind a building, ready to drive. And as soon as I wiped out the guys that were sort of as gatekeepers into his sector, middle of his sector, sort of my approach route, I wiped them out again with a double SMG squad routine, drove big wide arc with my truck, got the guys out. So there was 4 squads there already, so 12 victory points there. And I had other squads running over, so he just didn't have enough to beat me. As soon as I managed to get all those squads around, I was on to a winner. So stayed away from him. He got a few points, finished with a few guys on the table, but it was a pretty resounding victory for me, that one. He just didn't have enough on the table to beat me after I wiped his guys out.
All right, sounds like a fun game for you at least. Yeah, those guys, those SMG squads, any squad that's got all SMGs, there's 2 points each or 2 dice each when you're firing. It's just a massive amount of firepower. And if you can double team it and call on at once with the officer, then you're pretty much auto delete, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, you've got your inexperienced guys, but then you've got SMGs that are no penalty for moving and shooting as your assault weapon. And then if you can get close enough for point blank, you really are. You sort of counter your weaknesses there, as you say.
Yeah, and the fact that you've got no movement, no penalty for move and fire, like the US, it means you can get close and can really get in there and do some carnage without having to do your typical British airborne thing, which is assault.
Yeah, I think so. Yep, definitely. So it was a good finish today. I didn't get my mission, my secret objective. I can't even remember what it was in that one. But anyway, I took 720 kill points off him as well. So that was a pretty bloody day, as I say, for him. So I went home. End of the day, I had 1 draw and 2 wins from the day. So it's a pretty good start to the event, I thought.
Yep, I'll say.
Yeah. So next day I came in, and you'll be facing 2 games. Managed to get there 15 minutes late after I cleaned up around the place after a storm, picking things up and everything. But got in there. Luckily, they'd all decided it was only 15 minutes because I'd phoned ahead. They were all waiting for me, so that was great and very courteous of them. And my next game, was against Dave Evans, who rather ironically calls himself Old Dave at the club after I played Young Dave at the first game of the day before. I'm now against Old Dave. And only joking, lovely chap. He has got he had an army that was based sort of around the last levy. He had an SDK of Z222. He had a Marder 3. He had some Hitler Youth, MMG, Sniper team, a Panzer Shrek team, and 3 or 4 units of here. With LMGs and stuff in them, 2-man officer squad. So yeah, that was the army that he had. And we were playing on the Bocage table. And the mission that we were playing was meeting engagement. So we're going against two armies that had sort of quite a fair few units on the board. He didn't have anywhere near as many as mine, but on a board where your line of sight to either charge or shoot the enemy was going to be vital, maneuvering yourself so you could actually do it and control little segments of the table with that bocage and the rules that I spoke about earlier. So yeah, so we've got the Y-shaped road. I've got the side that one of the arms comes to sort of down on my left flank. He's got it down on his right, and then to my right-hand flank, I've got the short table edge that the base of the upright of the Y comes from. Does that paint a picture for you,
It does.
Rex?
Yep.
Excellent. Good. Okay, so I knew with this that if I wanted to potentially win, because his guys were better shots at range. He had some mobile weaponry in the autocannon on the FTK Z222, and he had some pretty good range with his Marder. So I knew at this I had to basically deploy my long range assets. So my Katusha went in the open fields with the low hedges. As did his Marder, facing off more or less against each other. He placed a Hitler Youth squad near his Marder. He's got MMG squad sort of in a hedge line, edge of a hedge line, and an opening that goes onto the road, sort of 2/3 across the board from me, 12 inches in from his edge, roughly. He's got those here squads then lined up, sort of spread out across the area in his part of the board that has got the bocage area, screening line of sight to me. And he's got his 222 armoured car in a bit of an open field that he's managed to get a run up at a gap in the bocage that leads onto the road.
Right, okay, yep.
So what I've done is I've basically got a mine dog squad, and I've deployed it in a sort of area that's got a diagonal view to him, or to that gap, thinking that he might be heading towards it. As well as that, he's got a heavy mortar. I believe it's a heavy mortar. Back midfield in the table as well, and the spot is over by the Panzerschreck team and the Hitler Youth over there too. So I spread my guys out. I've put an SMG squad in the truck at the end of not quite at the end, but as far as up the road as I can get them, plonking them down on the table. I've got some squads near the Katusha to cross the open fields, including an SMG squad. I've got the other SMG squad just right of centre. I've got my mortar over my right-hand flank. It can just see through the diagonal sort of line of sight and the two breaks of the bocages that I'm hoping is 222 might come at. So that's the way we set up and deployed. I knew that I was going to have to go pretty fast, try and close the distance with him, especially to negate my moving and shooting rule, because if I was going to stay back with all that cover, I was going to be terrible, and he'd probably just pick me off one by one, because I was inexperienced and I wouldn't have anything in return, so I thought I had to get up close and personal and nasty with him on this one.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
Yep.
That theory. Sound
Yep,
good?
sounds good. So was there a big dice gap? So you had 1 million dice, or did he have...
Yeah, he had 10 dice and I've got 16.
Okay.
So not too bad from him. But especially for probably about average, I guess, for a 1,000-point game. But I had a bit of a dice difference.
So eight less dice for you to shoot at then?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So basically, as soon as I got the dice out of the bag, first one, as you would hope with the dice advantage, put on my Katusha, open fire. The Marder's near the Hitler Youth squad. So's a spotter. Nut, didn't hit anything.
All right, okay.
So Marder fires back at me. Doesn't hit me in this turn. Okay, I breathe a sigh of relief, and I start the relentless advance across the fields, up the road, through the bocage, sort of towards him. He does the same on the other side. And turn one, very little happens. Turn two opens up, and he decides he's going to shoot at my Katusha. Does so and destroys it.
Right.
So it hasn't destroyed anything so far this game, and it's taken out.
Okay, all right. Yep.
So even more now, I'm going, I got to get across the board. I got to seize him by the belt buckle, as they say, and get up close and personal.
Yep.
So he destroys the truck. My guys debus from the truck, the emergency disembarkation. They've got they've only got a couple of pins on them, so it works. They actually managed to shake it off. I've got the officer handily very close, so they should be able to activate again next turn. Everybody's running across the table now. He decides to move his 2-2-2 up into that gap in the bocage that I thought he would. As it's second turn, my dog mines have been advancing, or they ran the last turn, and this time they sent out their dog mines, and my dog mines and my mine cat run up, and the mine cat managed to get the kill on the 2-2-2.
Right. Okay. That's a good kill. Lots of points to those.
Yeah, obviously it had been fed its jelly meat and tuna underneath 2-2-2 before. Ran up there and destroyed it. So that was a really good kill. Take away some mobility from him, and that autocannon against my inexperienced guys if it opened up would have been pretty horrific.
Great.
Yeah. Continuing on. Yep. My guys are running across the open field as fast as they can. I am getting picked off by, especially by his MMG. I know we've all got opinions on the MMG, but I tell you what, against inexperienced guys in the open, it's pretty horrific. Yep. So we're just getting up close and personal. I'm also moving my second dog squad through the fields as well. In the hope that I'm going to get close to his martyr, and at one stage he actually brings it closer to my squads, and I finally release the dog mines, and they run over and destroy the martyr for me as well, thank goodness.
All right, okay. So the dogs and the cats are working well this time.
Yeah, exactly. So basically at this stage I've got about 3 turns to go, and I tell Dave we're going to have to play fast, we want to get a resolution. And he was obliging as well. And I started getting a dice advantage of the units I was killing. So I got the required 2 kill dice advantage that I needed to finish the game by about turn 3. And I obviously wanted to keep it that way. I open it up. Problem is, every time I'm getting close to his guys, I'm throwing absolutely rubbish dice to do anything. And he's whipping my units back in return. But when I get a chance and I'm exchanging squads, as Dave quite rightly pointed out in a moment of analysis, he said he couldn't sustain the rate of exchange, 1 unit for 1 as well. So he's got much less dice than me on the table. And eventually I got in the bocage, got up to the bocage where he had officer squads now on the other side, also manning the obstacle, which meant by the rules the TO had said I could charge them. So I wiped out the officer squad, came back, wiped out the sniper, took out the long shot down the road, the MMG, after I'd been throwing stones at it more or less by inexperienced shooting for about 2 turns.
Okay, yep.
The sniper on the Hitler Youth and Shrek's side and Spotter's side was absolutely terrible. Luckily, my mortar eventually sighted in on his mortar after getting up to the bocage right in the very corner and having line of sight through to it. So my mortar zeroed in on them and finally destroyed them. The Hitler Youth just took everything they had thrown at them, inexperienced guys firing at them, they shrugged it off, carried on going, and in the end, I had this SMG squad that just killed the officer squad, brought it back, and in a moment of madness, I decided I was going to charge the Hitler Youth. I must have forgot what army I was running. I must have thought I was running blood-curdling charge paratroopers or something. And of course, they opened fire at me, and I went, oh yeah, yep. I would too, as if I'd forgotten about it. And they almost wiped me out to a man. 1 guy left against 5 Hitler Youth or something like that, and I got beaten in combat as well. And I had a pause, and the pause was me going, you got to stop, Dan. You got to stop doing this. In your haste to wipe out his units, you're actually forgetting you got inexperienced. You're giving him a lifeline, and he's getting dice back on you.
Yeah, it's the classic thing. You got to remember what the mission is, eh? Doesn't matter if
Yeah,
you're going after
yeah. I
that.
mean, I remember what the mission was, but I forgot how poorly standing toe to toe with inexperienced guys could do it. I had to do more of what I'd done in the previous game, the afternoon earlier against Al, and get some double teams in with some shooting and stuff like that. I would have been much more effective against that squad if I'd just moved the six and fired at them advancing with the SMGs. But yep, forgot it all going out the window in the massive time pressure that we had. And anyway, the time ticks down to the allotted hour or 2 hours, but on the hour it finished. And we total up the dice, and I had 7 kill dice and he had 5, so I ended up winning that one as well.
Only just though.
Yep,
Yeah,
it was only just
nearly
because
blew
I say
it.
I had to pause. I had to pause because I was throwing units into meat grinder. I just didn't need to.
Yep, nearly blew it
Yep.
just through being me, being Rex.
Yep.
Just going, oh, must kill guys. Yep. Okay, all right. So what's the score now? 3.
Okay, so that was game 4. So three wins and a draw against Dave as well. I had to I picked up a secret objective point because a victory point because my one was rally a team with 5 pins on it or more. So I rallied it. I rallied my team, got insane courage or whatever it is, and removed all 7 pins it had on it in one dice roll, double ones. It was awesome.
Right. Okay.
It's the first time I've ever done that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's huge. So you're seeming pretty confident now in terms of overall tournament score, eh?
I'm looking pretty good, but I still got a game to go. All right, so that brings me to game 5, the last game of the event, Rex. So it's point defense. Point defense.
Okay. Well, you must be feeling pretty confident at this stage, surely.
Yeah. Well, I suppose I'm happy so far, more so than confident. So I'm against Gordon. Okay, Gordon's got a late war British infantry army. It's all regular. He's split it in half, almost 2 identical platoons. So each platoon's got an officer, 2 squads of riflemen, a medium mortar, MMG. It's got one half has got a M3 half track. He's also got, of course, the free artillery observer. And I could have forgotten something else, but I think that's about it. So yeah, we're on the Tunisian table. One of the tables has sort of been packed up, some admin requirements at the end of the day. So we've just got the 2 tables left. So on the Tunisian table. So point defense. So we've got the 3 objectives set up, and he's pretty much put it on. He's chosen the same side of the table as I played against Al yesterday. Last game the day before. So what he's chosen is Gordon's won the roll-off. He's chosen to defend, which I sort of would have liked. He's chosen a table side that has 1 hill, and of course he's got big copses of sort of palm trees to hide stuff behind as well. So he puts his objective on the left-hand side behind the palm trees next to a hill, one in the middle right up against sort of the last village building disappearing towards his side of the table, and one on the right-hand side. It's no hill, but it's hidden from view behind a copse of the palm trees and oases. And of course almost everything's hidden. Why wouldn't it be? And he's got some guys out in the open, and again I sort of had to remind him that, look, if they're standing out in the open, they don't have any cover or anything, then they can't be hidden. And he said, yep, okay, cool, I'll put them there. I roll the prelim bombardment after deployment. I get it, and basically don't do anything drastic, just pin up a few of his units. Majority of them are sort of 2 pins, get a couple of 3 pins and a couple of hits. So I take off like 1 dude out of a rifle squad, I think, and 1 dude from somewhere else, but don't drive any of his units off the table. So he's in pretty good shape after it. Granted that he can rally his guys as I'm coming across the table towards him, and I start the big advance. So I look across the table and I say, right, Gordon, I know how this is going to go. He's reserved half as basically one of his platoons, so half of his force. Um, he deploys the majority of his force on his right-hand flank with the hill and the copse of palm trees there. On his left, my right, he has got a minimum amount of guys, and that includes, I think it was just a squad of guys, a squad of riflemen, and a officer squad. And on further questioning, I work out the officer squad, in fact, is the forward artillery officer, which is always nice to find out who's who, really, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, so I start the big advance across the board because I've said to him, look, I know this way the game is played. I got to get across there real fast. You're going to have to play fast because time is of the essence. Because basically this game's won or lost in the last turn, and I'll be charging across the table just as fast as you can. I won't be mucking around with my order dice and sort of, can we not do the same as well? And he's like, yep, cool. And he's always a nice guy, and I enjoy playing him. So it's all on. So basically,
Yep.
I just start running. I can only see very little of his force anyway, because they're all hidden. So I'm either waiting for him to decide he's going to open fire at me, or to move his other guys onto the table as reserves from turn 2 onwards. And another option for him, of course, is is he going to move his guys out into the open to get a better look at me? Because he's sort of hidden where he can't do anything, but he is hidden from sight. So I don't really care at this stage because it suits me. I'm just running across the table towards him. So he's left his left flank pretty bare, my right. However, he's left his guys off in reserve. He's told me there's no outflanking. I'm like, okay, all right, cool. I've left a Fanatic SMG squad off in a truck and right down, yep, I'm going right flanking towards that objective where there's nobody on the table there yet. Because his guys are coming on, I want something to counter it. If he moves them on, a turn later I'm hoping to bring my guys on from outflank and hoping to be able to catch his unit in the open and SMG them to death, hopefully, which is always nice.
Always nice for sure. Yeah, so he's hidden, so and where he's bunkered down, so he's really not stopping you from running across the table, is he?
No, he's not. So this is the thing, like I can't really shoot him as such, but he's got to either shoot me or he's got to take the full brunt of my attack. He's decided to only have half his guys on the table, half them between the sort of two halves of the table. Like I probably would have done things differently, but if I was him, however, that's his decision. But I guess looking back, what it gave me was it just gave me a chance to just run. I eventually got, after a couple of turns, got within 12 inches of him on the other side of an oasis with the palm trees. I could see guys in the palm trees then. He decided to move them and open fire with his mortar. See, my sniper had someone to shoot at, although it wasn't very successful to start with. On the right flank, my right flank, he deployed his forward artillery observer in a bit of an odd place, and then he decided, I've got to run him forward. We were told that the copse of trees were dense, so you couldn't see out and you couldn't see in beyond 2 inches. So he had to deploy his forward artillery observer to the edge of those palm trees. Because I got two snipers, I'd divided them up, one each side, and I'd run him in the first turn. Second turn he went firm. As soon as his forward artillery observer moved forward, I deliberately left my sniper till last. I had a shot at him and destroyed him just as he came in sight of being able to see outside of that palm tree, because the last thing I wanted is him dropping his coordinates on me. So I've done that. I've destroyed his forward artillery observer. Great. And another dice down. Let's take him off the board. Yep, I'm running across towards all objectives, all the way across the board. Broad front. He was a little bit further deployed on my left. His right, and that's where he was sort of castled up, I guess, around his objective, the Wayne man he was manning. So now I've sort of revealed those units there. And I get up there in force, and I've got 2 units of the Fanatic SMGs up there. two SMG squads, I should say, and I've got my platoon commander there as well, my officer, and you know what's coming, don't you? I'm going to snap to eventually the next turn.
Yep, yep.
Turn 2, so he can bring his reserves on. He brings them on, and as expected, they come on. Majority of them come on in his left-hand objective, my right flank, where there is sort of nothing now between me and those objectives, or that objective. Brings his guys on there. As I say, it's almost a duplicate of the other half of his army. And he brings the half track on in the middle of the table towards that middle objective there.
Yep.
So I'm steamrolling across the table. He sort of pushes past objectives. The next turn, opens fire at me, takes a couple of casualties off the fanatic rifle squad. They just stay as inexperienced, unfortunately. Take one more pin, I think it is. That's happening on my right flank. He gets in a position he's sort of happy with. He starts pushing through the jungle, though, the oasis, with one of his rifle squads on that right flank, on my right flank, his left. And therefore he's got himself stuck. He can't see out. I can't see him, but he can't see out. And he sort of gets in there and he gets a bit mired. So this is now turn 3. I snap to my guys on my left flank around that hill, around the oasis, and we machine gun his officer squad. His SMG, his officer squad. The remainder of the rifle squad that are up there. The Katyusha manages to destroy the MMG squad that's on that same ridge line. That's about all it can achieve this turn. So I've revealed all those units there. At the centre, his M3 half track, I've got another rifle squad just steaming on up that through the village. Put some shots on that. Don't manage to destroy it this turn. The dog squads come over, the dog mine squads come over to try and destroy it next turn. End of the turn, once he's blown all his dice, I bring on my SMG squad, his regular rifle squad that he's got on his left, my right, and I'm behind him now. And I come on, and no, I'm not behind him, I'm just in front of him. I come on, there's a random piece of cover there, like a berm, a little linear piece of ground. I move my truck on from the 24 inches from outflank, show him, of course, what side it's come from. He knows it's all gen up. Advance my truck on. Again, for a second time, I would have failed my reserve roll with the outflank negative modifier if I hadn't chosen that truck as regular. So that little tip of paying those extra points for the vehicle that the troops are in if you're an outflank really comes in handy sometimes. People think you're mad when you're buying a regular truck and you've got inexperienced troops, but it can come in handy, can't it?
Yeah, and the points difference is not that much anyway.
Yeah.
Remember when I had that inexperienced Panzer IV that we were playing one time and it just wouldn't come on? Just the whole game just wouldn't come on. It came on the last turn, didn't do anything, and that was the end of it.
Yep, that one time at band camp I was real happy.
Yeah.
So came on, when the guys debussed, they then went into cover, which was great, right up to the cover as well, so there's no negative modifier for that. They were within point blank range of his guys in the open. I let them have it, and they were just vaporized, unfortunately, for him, and good news for me. He advanced a little bit more the next turn through the oasis and tried to open fire on my inexperienced rifle squad over that side. And then I had to point out to him, unfortunately for him, that the terrain rule, he couldn't see out. I couldn't see him, which was the positive side of that, but he couldn't see out either, so he sort of had to just go firm there. I just started rolling up his right flank, my left. Basically, I was in amongst his troops around the back of the oasis now. Finished off, shot up his mortar. His rifle squad that was there started running across the table towards me a little bit, so that if they had no home. The dog mines failed to destroy his half track, rather embarrassingly. Must have run off for jelly meat somewhere else. However, my rifle squad that was up the centre assaulted him and destroyed the open top vehicle there. So that was the end of that as well. From there, on my right, I started rolling up again as mortar squad on that side as well. Didn't really stand a chance. The only guys in the that had much of a chance were the the rifle squad that was in the Oasis. I moved up an SMG squad within 2 inches of it and just let them have it at point blank range, and that was most of the squad vaporized on that side as well. So Prod Gordon, he wasn't having a good game of it, really. But a fantastic game, fantastic fun. I'm not too sure he had fantastic fun, but we had a laugh and a joke together, and so just encouraged him to play on for kill points um, in case he was tired in his place at the end of the day or something like that. And he did so.
Yep.
Fair play to him. He kept fighting to the end, and we had as much fun as we both possibly could, and it was awesome. But convincing win to me at the end. I held all 3 objectives and tabled him except for the one rifle squad that was sort of meandering around trying not to get killed.
Right. How many turns did you get played?
We did play the full 6. I got across the table and I was in amongst his guys after not too long, but and I'll talk about this soon, really. But because my speed getting across the table, we actually had the time to play the game out. And from there, it was just a case of going, look, is it sensible to continue playing? And yes, it is for another turn because it could be important for Gordon, even though the outcome's pretty certain in my favour. So yeah, so we had a full game and it was good.
Good stuff. All right, so I guess that was all the games, right?
Absolutely. So then we packed everything away as we're good club members and good attendees of an event. Packed everything away and eagerly awaited the results.
Yep, tea and medals.
Yeah.
So how did you go? You must have done pretty well.
Yeah, well, I finished with 4 wins and a draw. I was pretty happy the way it happened as well. The draw first, then the 4 wins. Obviously, I was learning things. Either that or the scenarios were sort of a learning curve or something for me. But anyway, so I won't go through the bottom placings, the bottom 3. However, 3rd place was Nathan with his Soviet naval army. He got 13 tournament points and 2,667 kill points.
Yeah, those Soviets are OP. Anywhere you play Soviets. Go on.
2nd was Al with his Japanese. 15 victory points or tournament points and 1,430 kill points. And 1st place
was some guy named Bob.
1st place is me. I was really happy. I got 17 tournament points and 3,319 kill points. So I'd managed to kill quite a lot with my inexperienced guys as well.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, good. Oh, great results. So not only did you have a fun couple of days, but you won as well. So does it get any better than that?
Oh, I don't think so. I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and it's exactly, at the moment we're fitting in a game here and a game there, and it's a bit patchy with COVID on and off and in between the different levels and stuff like that. You and me haven't been able to get together for a game, so, it was nice to be able to have a concentrated amount of games in one go. And I suppose, one of my key learnings this weekend was I love events anyway, and so do you. The reason why we love events is pretty much the reason I'm going to crow about now, which is get yourselves to an event. One of the bonuses of events at the moment, guys, is that, you probably haven't played too many games at the moment, wherever you're listening in the world. Probably going in and out of different levels of COVID or whatever the case is. And if you get yourself to an event where you've got a concentrated amount of or quantity of games in one weekend, and it's really good. It's great fun. I'd recommend anyone to get to one just for that. Maybe if you haven't done it before, get yourself there and enjoy a few games.
Yeah, for sure. It's been pretty dire, certainly at my end of things, with our local club closing, which is attached to a store closing, and then Moab in Sydney, which is it's meant to run around the 4th of October.
Then CanCon next year as well.
And CanCon at Christmas time, or just after Christmas is has been called off. So yeah, it's really dire. But there are small tournaments, and that's what you've done. You've gone along to a small tournament with only a very limited number of guys, and it doesn't really matter how big the tournament is. You're only going to be able to play 4, 5, 6 games in a weekend, so it's irrelevant how many people it is. Just get on down, have some fun, I guess.
Well, exactly. Like if you can get 6 guys together for the reasons I spoke about at the start of this cast, that's fantastic. 6 guys is probably what you got at your gaming club. All you need to do is find a garage or something even, and just go there, guys, if you can. And put your protocols in effect, or, if you get an event. This event was it was a combined event for all different game systems, as I said, and, Star Wars Legion stuff, I think I called it Imperial Assault at the start of this podcast, but, Fantasy plus 40k, plus Age of Sigmar, and we've just found ourselves a corner there. There's Flames of War going on as well. We just found ourselves a niche little corner, and saved on the expense of hiring a venue out. All the COVID protocols are in place, and we've got 6 guys. You can only have 5. Well, we decided to only have 5 games, so we played everybody. It was brilliant.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, very encouraging, and thanks very much for that evocative way that you've described them. That's great games. Makes me want to, as I say, go downstairs and get going. Get my new battle mat out, and get playing on the table.
Nice.
Invite around a mate and go from there. But most importantly,
yep,
new army. What did you learn about the new army? And the reason I ask you, and the reason I say most importantly, is because I've got Soviets as well, and I think I could probably learn a thing or two from you, Dan.
All right, well, not all my learnings were about this particular army, but I do have some. Where should I start? All right, so if I was to do a bit of a list, I think the first one would probably be, I don't think if you're trying to be competitive, even though, fun competitive, if you're trying to write a list that's going to stand up to playing a mate as well, say a veteran army or something like that, I think I was 75% into the theme. As I said at the start, I described it as not wanting to be OTT and in people's face too much with dice caps and stuff like. Oh, sorry, there's no dice cap with dice quantity in the bag and stuff like that. I was sort of a tiny bit tentative. I think you have to be careful though, because definitely your squads will die, and they, but that is a risk your commissars are willing to take.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think you have to go full in. If you're going to go inexperienced horde, I think you have to do an inexperienced horde. I don't think you can go 75% into the theme. I think you have to go full into it, because you need to have a lot of squads to cover a lot of ground to sort of swamp them in one area. You need to have more bodies in one area than they've got bullets, just like in the actual thing. So I would suggest go full in, and can't dip your toe into it, I don't think.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yep. So, how did you describe your list? Was it friendly competitive?
Yeah, I think I went in there with a theme. I guess my theme was probably like, Enemy at the Gates movie, sort of Stalingrad, really. A couple of snipers, plenty of inexperienced dudes, and a Katyusha staying well back and letting everybody else get cut up, basically.
What's the difference between friendly competitive, and competitive? Is one you play with a smile, and the other one you play with a sneer? Is that the only difference?
No, I think. Well, that brings me on my next point then. So here's the next point.
Okay, all right.
All right, to go with my army. So I actually had to convince somebody. No, I'm going to explain why. Okay, then. I think you have to be kind to people at the moment too. Everyone around the world who's listening to this, and if you're planning on going an event, I want you to remember how long it's been since you played COVID, or how long it's played with COVID.
Since you played COVID, yeah.
Yesterday. Since you played with COVID on, I want you to imagine if the other person across the table has played. Because I went there and a few things happened. The first one was I had somebody say, that's it. I don't think I can win this game, and turn 2 was something like that. The Katyusha had got lucky and blown up one unit on the very first dice roll of the game, and my guys are running across the table en masse, and I sort of had to explain, no, these are all inexperienced units. they're gonna, as soon as you start shooting, they're gonna get cut to ribbons. And people are out of practice at realizing that. They're
Yeah.
out of practice playing different armies. And I think you have to cut people a little bit of slack at the moment. So that was my next learning. And don't be afraid to explain to people again what things do. And don't be afraid to say, you know what, don't forget, I mentioned the building at the start. I got a Katyusha, you happy with what happens there? I measure from the outside of the building. Things like that. And people were really quite appreciative of that, I think. That, if I got the better of them, then it was certainly not through lack of explaining things. And I actually said to somebody, look, mate, it's not a problem. Do you want to... Well, let's imagine you declared that order instead because, we're all rusty. Everybody's rusty. Just have fun. And that's friendly
Yep.
competitive. I had a pretty competitive army, but, I think, yeah, just be kind. Just be kind. You might have an event or a tournament that's got different stakes to what I had. So who am I to tell you that you should, give someone a backseat, you know? But I did give someone a take backseat, and that's okay. I'm completely happy with it because I want that person to have come away from that event with a cool feeling about, playing an army like that, and that they can win against it, and that person did much better than they thought they were against me, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing just in general. Even forget about being rusty from COVID. If you're starting out with someone and, they don't seem to really have much idea what's going on, they don't understand your army, or, they're new to the game, then helping them through it. Maybe that is, I said that tongue in cheek, but maybe that's the difference between friendly competitive and competitive. In competitive, you just thrash your enemy. In friendly competitive, you actually say, hey, you realize that this is a multi-launcher and you realize how that works, don't you? You realize that blah, 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 blah. And hey, the result's the same, but it just allows them to, and, if you're winning, it's easy to do that. Maybe if you're on the back foot, you just keep quiet because obviously you're up against an army that's or a player that's good, or an army that's particularly good or well suited to the scenario.
Yeah, I think so. If you're in a day, if you're
some lucky dice rolls,
if you're losing or it's tight and tense, the situation is tense, not the players being tense with each other. Then the other player definitely doesn't need your help.
Yep.
So there we go. But yeah, that's good advice. And on the other side as well, when I talked about rusty, not necessarily for the other person. Another key learning is, are you rusty? I've already talked about how I built a scenario up of the army I was going to play in my head in that very first game and what I was going to do, and then like a robot sort of deployed to that and then realized I hadn't even seen the guy's army list, or when he was deploying from his army case, I didn't know what he was going to put out, and I decided he had vehicles that are going to come and snatch my objective because, destroy my, do demolition on my objective. So, yeah, don't play out scenarios in your head. Take the time to recognize you're rusty. Think about how you're going to play each game, and I guess react to the circumstances.
How did you go with the high dice count? Because that's got to be the highest dice count army you've ever played with.
Yeah, well, I could have put more units on the table, obviously. As you know, I could have had more Strathbit in there. I could have gone 2 platoons, put more Strathbit in there. I mean, I could have had 23 or 24 dice.
Yep.
But I didn't want to be that guy turning up to this tournament because, as I say, people were rusty and, however, if I played a few more times there, then I probably wouldn't be afraid if it was more of a competitive event to turn up and have a go with that. Now, people, won't be so shocked and dismayed at it and be like, huh, you know what? I'll throw stones at these guys and they'll run away.
Yep. Yeah.
But it was good. It was the dice out of the bag was a pretty good thing. I mean, there was not too many times for the first couple of dice that my dice weren't pulled out first.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, last tournament I went in, I had a Soviet force with 18 dice as well, and to be honest, it was really too much for me. I was just too slow to play that. Like, I'm not an idiot, but I just I think things through and make an informed decision. That just didn't work with that number of dice in a 2 hour limit for the game. So next time I'd change my army a little bit to give myself less than 18 dice, because 18 dice, I don't think we ever finished a game the whole tournament.
Right, well, that's interesting to say that actually. I think one of my other lessons which I learned, and I referenced this earlier in my game against Dave, his German sort of Fall of Berlin army with his Hitler Youth and stuff. I referenced that I was making bad decisions at the end. Um, so here's what you need to do, and I stumbled across this. I think with an experienced army, you need to understand when you need to move swiftly and when you don't. Like I finished most of my games after that first one. Games where you deploy one dice at a time at the start of the game take a lot of time as people go R, and stuff like that. So
Yep.
what you need to do is you need to choose the times that you're going to move swiftly across the table. There are times when you pull your dice out and you go, I'm running, I'm running, I'm running, I'm running, I'm running. Yep. But then you need to decide, where is it that I stop on this flank and go, think. And often it's during the other opponent's turn so that you can be fast during your turn. And you look at the other side and you go, well, actually, on that side, I need to start thinking very carefully about what I'm doing when I get to the edge of that building or something like that. So that's in a run and an advance, and then maybe a shoot or something. I'll judge it during his turn. But from the edge of that building, depending on what he does, I therefore need to think about what I'm doing a lot more and take my time on that flank. In the middle, I'm just running upwards. Until he does something different, I'm running upwards, so those units in the middle. And where am I going to activate units first? Okay, so over here on the left, then on the right, because in the middle I'm just running up, or whatever the case is. And use the opponent's time wisely to think about that. Use your time wisely to think about that. And yeah, be reactive as well. Like, don't just build it up in your head. The enemy has a vote as well. An important vote. So don't just build up to your head about when you think you're going to need it based on the ground. Obviously, if he does something you need to react to, then you're going to have to be completely different. But sometimes, especially at the end of your turn, that fateful moment where you finally pull out the other guy's dice, his last dice, and you've still got 6 in the bag, and he hands them to you, and you're like, okay, everything else goes into ambush. And he's just like, what? I said, everything else just got into ambush. I don't care. Everything else is in a supporting position. I don't need to move them. What I need
Yep.
now is to get these dice back in the bag and hopefully pull out the next dice and get on with the next turn.
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
you go
Yeah.
into ambush and then suddenly something crazy happens, I don't know, like he's in ambush and he decides to flip his dice to, try and take the leadership test to flip it to fire and fire at you. Well, you're in ambush, so you can flip yours to down.
Yeah. Right.
So you sort of can't
Yeah.
go,
It's I never thought of that.
wrong there.
Yep.
Don't just say, oh, everything else will go down, because you know you,
That's
that's
it.
a
You're
bad
done.
habit to get into, because people think they should put
Yep.
everything down. Ambush, you've got two choices. You can go into ambush, you can go down. So I go into ambush, but that saves me 5 minutes, and then I
Yep.
put it back in the bag, and then I'm either running forward or whatever I'm doing the next turn. So it's really choosing. And I spoke about that game with old Dave when I got close, and then I was just like, I got to get more kill points. I got to get more kill points. I'm going to throw this unit to here. No, that's when I should have taken a breather and just gone, I'm going to move this unit up and machine gun those and SMG those Hitler Youth guys to hopefully little bits and pieces. Not get in close and
Yep.
personal, because if the dice roll goes wrong, I've lost another dice.
Yep. Yep. And I guess it's scenario dependent as well. Like that point defense one, the last game, when he's defending, it's just run, 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 and that's 3 turns down, 3 turns, and then you can just get a bit more serious with the next 3 turns.
Yep, you can. But so long as you're being wary and tactically reactive to what he's doing, because yeah, the enemy has a vote too.
Yep. Yep. Sounds good. I'm definitely rusty. I'll be looking forward to getting a game, and hopefully things are coming out of to be a bit more normal,
Good.
personal life wise for us as well. So yeah, I'll have to invite a couple of guys around to my place and get something going.
Good. Another thing I noticed as well, Rex, and for somebody else out there, especially with the Soviet army, it's quite handy because you've got a lot of companies put out Soviets in winter uniforms and summer uniforms because they're so markedly different. Is that and the armies literally because of supply issues and stuff they were you had guys in the winter with bloomin' summer equipment and stuff like that. Is I
Yep.
specifically modeled different units in summer uniform. Most of my armies in winter uniform. I specifically modeled guys in summer uniform to differentiate themselves on the battlefield. That helped me visualize things better, and because when there's a whole bunch of units on the table, sometimes you can start mixing things up. So I noticed that was easy. Um, I I had things like the unarmed Strafbat units. I painted a dark, very dark brown as opposed to sort of sandy brown around the base. That helped me differentiate things as well, so a time saver. And another thing is, get yourself so ideally you'd have a nice display board with your units set out and that you can put your casualties away in, and then when you go to deploy, especially if you're deploying onto the table, you can know with certainty that you're keeping your units together and stuff, and you're not going, oh, why am I missing a guy? Where's my guy at? Where's, all that sort of thing. And then
Yep.
put them on. There was a couple of times there when my opponent graciously went, and I said, 12 guys. And he went, oh, there's 13. And I went, oh, yeah, okay, here's my water spotter. Because I'd had a tray and it was slightly too small by about 2 inches, and so I had units sort of bending around at the end on my tray, on my carry tray.
Right. Okay.
And
Yep.
then, I
Yep.
was sort of getting the odd one mixed up here and there. But, if you can have them laid out nice and neat, especially in the deployment, that will save you some time. And that's half the battle won if you've got them all in the correct place and stuff like that. That can save you a lot of time when it comes in the game.
I tell you what always takes me time, and I still have yet to really address this or work out a way about it. You get your squad in there, and it's like, okay, so I've got four SMGs. No, it's five SMGs and a LMG, and then there's two rifles, and then gosh, it must drive people crazy. It drives me crazy. What do? Just remember what's in what squad, or you don't mix them up too much.
I think the Soviets have got that pretty okay because they're like, no, comrade, you will take the SMG and you will run at the enemy. And you're just like,
Yeah.
okay, all right, well, they're all got SMGs in.
Yeah.
Should I give this rifle squad an LMG? No, that's stupid. Just give them rifles. They're just inexperienced dudes running across the field. So you tend to just have blocks of dudes armed the same way. But it's when you start getting the options like Panzerfaust and stuff like that, you can get yourself a bit mixed up. However, no problems with that anymore on the Stalingrad list. I believe it just got FAQ'd that no Panzerfaust in the Stalingrad list anymore because
I haven't actually
Panzerfaust
read the new FAQ yet.
was only being tested at the time and wasn't in circulation.
Right. Okay. I think I assumed that it was out, but does it actually give you the option in the
It
in
does.
the books?
Yeah. Of
Right,
course,
okay.
Rex. Are you suggesting that the Soviet book won't let you take something?
Oh well, of course. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Terrible mistake.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's it. So those are my top
okay.
tips for a speedy game for someone that's running inexperienced troops after going from a lot of veteran armies, whatever, to inexperienced troops, or someone who's just coming back to the game and maybe has a large model count or something like that after being out of it for COVID and not having some opponents and wanting some games. Some top tips to get you back in the game as quickly as possible with a minimum wastage of time and get a full game in, hopefully, without too many games that you don't finish all your turns.
Sounds good. Well, thank you very much for telling us the tales of war there, Dan. I certainly really enjoyed it. I hope the viewers do too. Shall we take a bit of a break?
That sounds fantastic. We'll wet our whistle and then we'll come back and talk about some other stuff.
Great stuff. See you
See you
soon.
soon.
Welcome back, Dan. Welcome back, listeners. We're back from our break, and I really did enjoy your regaling of all those things that were going on at the tournament or the event. I'm pleased that you went. I'm a wee bit jealous that I haven't got anything here. So much so that I think I might try and talk to some guys about getting an informal club going up in my area so that so we can actually get some games in, because otherwise it's just such slim pickings. But
yeah, I think that's the reason why I laboured on the fact that it was only 6 people, and you could get some mates together, a portion of your club or whatever. And I guess I was thinking specifically also about the people in the UK or in England who have the rule of 6, as in 6 people are allowed to gather in a residence. I hope that's sort of the case in some places, although I know they're getting more and more tense and more restrictions put on them. So that was why I thought that a 6-person tournament or event would be so handy for people to think about.
Yeah, sounds good. And while we're finally coming out of our second wave in Australia, to some degree, UK is going down again for their second wave. So, yeah, it's not going to change anytime soon, I don't think. So, be creative and catch up with a smaller number of people. Still have fun, still play games, still listen to podcasts, and still paint. You'll be good.
Absolutely. Speaking of still painting, I guess we better talk to people about hobby before they think our rumours of us being deceased might be true. Shall I start, Rex, or would you like to start off what you're doing with hobby?
No, you start. That's a good place. I know you've done a fair bit of painting leading up to this, so that'll be interesting to hear your stories of scratching and struggling to get ready in time. It'll make me feel better because that's normally me.
All right then, but let's hear the big news. What have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I've done a few things. I've recently posted a review on valhallagames.net. Go to YouTube, and have a look on there for OTP Terrain products that I got sent for review. So thanks, OTP Terrain. Another mention for you guys. They're great products. We bought some. I've got some review stuff and put that together. I've been working hard on, I guess, the meta of it in terms of actually, the background stuff that you don't see. So not painting it, but videoing it and getting the lights right and working out my new software for video editing and all that. And that's been a massive job. So although not wargaming hobby as such, I guess it's more interesting from people's perspective that are following the channel, because that actually affects what you see. So that's been a big part of what I've done. So you saw that video, Dan, obviously?
Yeah, I did, and I thought the product was great. Thanks, OTP Terrain, and I look forward to getting some myself. And I also thought that your production quality of that video is fantastic. So thank you for using that, I guess, as a bit of a test for our future videos together, or battle reports, or whatever we're going to do, and really investing the time into that one to seeing what that new technology you've got there is capable of doing.
Yeah, sounds good. And any feedback's welcome. I think from my own perspective, it was too long, and I'll be trimming them down. But you probably didn't want to see 10 short videos on various things either. So you can just have playing in the background while you're painting or whatever, and pick your ears up when you find something that's interesting to you. So yeah, hopefully everybody enjoys it. I certainly enjoyed making it, and I'm certainly going to be enjoying painting it and preparing it. And to that end, my next bit of actual hobby is starting to get ready for those large amount of 3D prints for painting. Now, I did enough sanding to last me a lifetime when I used to paint motorbikes and cars and what have you. So I'm really not that keen on spending a whole week sanding 3D printed stuff. So what I've started doing is I've got a few different primers, including some filler primer and a few other things, and I'm trying out to see what I can do. I've got a sandblaster, a little closet sandblaster. I've bought that because I heard that you can sandblast 3D printed stuff, and you don't lose the detail, but you do lose a bit of the striations. You heard that,
right.
Dan?
Okay.
Yep.
No, I didn't know that.
Yep. So I bought, the budget sandblaster you can possibly buy, and it's only for plastic, so I'm going to sandblasting a whole trailer or the chassis of a car or something. So what I'm going to do is I'll video that as I go, but that's me prepping for the to get everything painted up. So that'll be interesting to see how that goes, because 3D printed stuff's pretty new to us, and this is my first time certainly doing a bulk load.
Yeah, I know there's a few various ways people have suggested it. Someone said put a chemical product on it and it takes away the striations or whatever it's called. Is that the name of it? The layers, the striations? Is that
That's
correct,
it.
Rex?
Yep.
And then some people have suggested build it up. In other words, the sort of filling primer they've tried, and some people have obviously suggested that you've heard about the sandblasting. I haven't heard that one, but yeah, it's very interesting to me. I'd be interested to see which one you settle on, Rex.
Yeah, well, I think I'm probably going. It's going to be one of those things where, so to address the chemical-based one, that's only valid for some sorts of plastic, and
Right,
that's
okay.
the acetone smoothing, if that's what you're talking about.
Acetone or something, yeah.
Acetone smoothing, vapor smoothing. That's only applicable to certain sorts of plastic, and the plastic that I've got that these models have been printed in is not that type of plastic. And I watched a couple of reviews of guys trying to do it, and it was dubiously successful and with a high risk of damaging the model. So I put that one aside. And I think what I'll do is, you have the ridges and furrows where the layers are created, and let's say they're, I don't know, quarter of a millimeter or something like that. They're very small, but they're obvious on a miniature. So what I'll do is I'll give them a little sand, I think, or a sandblast if that works, and then use the spot filler on top of that, which will fill, and then give the spot filler a final sand, which will take off the high points. Hopefully leave the spot filler in the grooves, which would have already been reduced by the sanding, and hopefully the whole process will net a good result with hopefully not too much work. So that's my current plan anyway.
Right, sounds good. Sounds very interesting. I think we've mentioned OTP terrain a few times, and I hope that anyone that's around the Pacific, around Australia, New Zealand, considers using them. They're fantastic service as well as a great product. But there are people who might be listening from Europe, places like that, and OTP operates under contracts from a few printers that design the files and stuff like that. And there are other people in those countries who offer that same product as well. So we recommend, if you can't get hold of OTP, that you go have a look at their website, see the license they're operating, and try and find someone who operates those. I think there's one, the Eccentric Man is a friend of, or is an associate of, Gary, I think his name is, runs paint and glue miniatures. I think he has one of the contracts. I think it's the chap's name, Naswitz or something like that. One of the license person who originally has a license to produce stuff. Is that correct, Rex? Am I on the right track?
Sounds about right. So these are the people that actually create the 3D models, CAD guys, and then they license them out to various people to print, and possibly print them themselves. So yeah, if you go to otpterrain.com.au, go and find the product that you're after, and normally down the bottom, I think it's probably a condition of their licensing, they actually display a logo with the name of the company that created them, and often a link as well. So you actually go there and then just click on the link, and it takes you straight to the place. Or alternatively, and again, I suggest you use OTP Terrain if you're in Australia and New Zealand, because the prices of printing them are really, really reasonable. But you can actually go to the original creator and purchase the packs. I guess if you were doing a tournament, and you needed 25 buildings of this and 25 buildings of that, you could do it that way. But for most people, firstly you have to have a 3D printer, and then you've got to print it and deal with all the issues around 3D printing, all the quirks and weirdness about it. But then as well, you obviously have to buy the 3D models. So sometimes it's just as easy and just as quick to buy them off the 3D printer manufacturer. That's
Yeah, for sure. But as you said, I mean, Australia, New Zealand, anywhere around Pacific, really. I mean, goodness, you could be a expat wargamer sitting in Papua New Guinea or Indonesia or some place like that, Malaysia, and not have access to a printer or a friend as a printer or something like that. I think this is a great idea. Look, send away to these guys because they've been fantastic, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. And even if you're in the US, I don't know how the exchange rates work, but sometimes you'll find that things coming from Australia will work out cheaper, or depending on the fluctuations of the dollar or anything. So yeah, give it a look. But certainly another thing too, which we haven't mentioned up to this point, it's in the video, and that is that there's a 15% discount voucher for all subscribers, fans, buddies, second cousins, third aunties twice removed of Valhalla Games.
That's right. Yep.
15% discount voucher, site-wide. Anything on the store, presumably not freight, but they have had a special running for September 2020, which has expired now, but that was only 15% off if you bought over a certain dollar value, whereas our voucher is 15% off for everything on site, and that ends on 31st of October. So it's October now for us as we record this. So you've got about 3 weeks or a couple of weeks by the time this comes out. So I'll definitely be taking advantage of it. I've decided that I'm going to buy that Scriptorium, Dan. Decided I'm going to buy that Scriptorium.
Which one?
Scriptorium. It's the big fantasy building that matches with the Abbot's house. Nice.
And I'm interested in the trams, the World War II historical trams.
Yeah, they're nice. Yeah, so the Scriptorium, I'll just finish on that, and then I'll move on to what else I'm lusting after in terms of 3D print. It's $220.
All right, I won't tell if you won't.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, but it's a lot of 3D print as well, and it's wow, you'll have to go and watch the video to find out about the scale and Rex's opinion on scale. But nice. Going on from your trams, they actually have a really nice set of train, like train tracks, signal boxes, curved tracks, straight tracks, carriages, the tender that goes with the engine, with the steam engine, etc., etc., etc. Now I don't know what scale they're going to be. I imagine they're going to be suitable for 28mm, like everything else. But because I've already got this O scale railway train set stuff that I've told you about, and I've got some tracks to suit those. So I'm going to see if I can actually get them to resize it. I mean, they've already said definitely they will resize it, but I'm not sure of the cost. But I think it was around about $125 or something for a train. Like the engine, the tender, which is the bit that the coal goes in, a couple of carriages, and I don't know, 4 or 5 meters of track. They said it's a 6-day print on the website. 6 days.
Wow. Okay.
So for $125, it seems like a lot, but yeah, compared to Scriptorium, it's cheap.
Yeah. Right. Nice.
Yeah, a little star after that. I think it's $125. So go and check it out.
Good one. And what else have you been doing, Rex? Because I saw a couple of photos online that you posted a couple of places. Looked like sort of European December. Looked like Santa Claus is going to come. There's so much snow around. What's happening?
Yeah. So my winter Germans, and hopefully not sounding too much like a broken record. It takes me 6 or 9 months to paint an army, to be honest, because I'll do a couple. I'll get real serious, and I'll do an hour a night for 2 weeks, and then I'll just life will get crazy, and I'll just put them away for another 3 weeks, and then get them out again. And plus, I'm a crazy slow painter. So, but I'm still going with those, and I've got half the boxed set painted, and I'm really, really happy with those. I think you already seen photos of those, so that's good.
So you should be. They're amazing. Well done.
Yeah, definitely the best job I've done so far, as you would expect. It puts my other armies to shame. I'm thinking about maybe selling my Fallschirmjäger down and buying some more identical so I can repaint them. But anyway, that's another whole story.
Don't do it, man. Don't ever sell a painted army.
Yeah. Just the time, eh? That splinter pattern.
Yep.
So I got a bit purchase happy, slap happy with the credit card, and I went and bought all the winter stuff that I could find on Warlord's site. So I bought the Forward Observer team, the sniper, flamethrower, a couple of other guys in their team as well. Bought the command team, so it's the general and a couple of buddies. I bought a pack 40, winter pack 40 to go with.
You bought the set that comes with the RSO
I
toe
did
as well, didn't you?
Yeah. And that's really nice. That's resin, resin and steel.
Have you received it?
I have. I got it 2 days ago. So I've cleaned it all up now. I've washed all my sprues. So.
No. Okay.
Yeah, I washed it all. I've cleaned it all up. Hardly any mold lines on it at all, on any of that stuff. And yeah, it's real. It's amazing. I just so love it. It's the detail, especially the major or whatever he is, the top guy with his fur lined cloak. And it's just it's really amazing. So so they're all cleaned up, ready to go as of last night. Just need to glue them to the washers, and because I do all my stuff on steel washers for that little bit of ballast at the bottom, and the heft, Dan.
Yep, for sure.
And then while I was on the job, I think I bought a couple other things as well. I bought a Soviet dog team, no cats, just dogs.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So that arrived yesterday. Not winter, unfortunately, but yeah, it's all right. The guys that are actually running the dogs are just, there's nothing special about them. So I can swap them out for just normal infantry.
Well, they're wearing padded uniforms, though, aren't they? They're wearing jackets.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Well, there you go.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Let's face it, they had such poor supply at times, and they didn't really care particularly a lot for their guys that. They had guys fighting in summer uniforms just with a greatcoat wherever they could find it that night in the winter anyway. Yeah,
that's right, yeah. So I got those. They're excellent. And then I did a bit of another online purchase while I was on the job, and I bought another couple of winter medals from Warlord Winter Medals from Australian supplier. Can't remember what it is. Right. I might have melded all those in together. But anyway, I've got a huge pile of medals. So that's another third of the army, I guess, just all those squads and artillery, etc. And then once I've done those, because they're pretty interesting and pretty nice, then the third phase will be the other half of the plastic box and a couple of tanks as well. I'm gonna paint up one of those Stugs that I've got in winter whitewash, and I'm going to buy some of those.
Nice.
Going to buy some of those tank riders from Offensive.
Oh, fantastic!
Yep, yeah, they're really nice. Yep. So apart
which
from
ones
that,
are you going to go for? Are you going to go for Fallschirmjäger, or are you going to go for here?
I'll go for here, but. While I'm on there, and while I'm paying for postage, and I might as well slip a few other things in as well. There's no point ordering one thing.
Nice.
It's just not right.
Oh, that'll make the guys and ladies at Offensive happy.
Yep. Well, we love our offensive stuff, don't we?
Yep, we do.
So, although, one thing that I'm finding is, the couple of people, not so much offensive on this, but other people. Isn't it so much nicer to buy from somebody that has a nice website?
That has a website?
That has a nice website. That's easy to navigate.
Yeah, well, Offensive
find.
Changed their website and it's much better.
Oh, right, okay. I'll be looking forward to that. But yeah, there's a couple of manufacturers lately, their websites have been so abysmal. I've just gone, Really? I'll just no, just no.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lesson in that, I suppose. But websites. I guess you got to sell a few plastic men to buy a new website, right?
Well, sometimes I find. So sometimes I have found that the smaller industries producing boutique sort of niche miniatures or whatever that are fantastic, so maybe they specialize in their sculpting and stuff like that, they may not be selling enough of them to provide the very flashiest website, or they might not be at that level of retail or commercial sort of savvy that they're producing a fantastic website, whereas this actual service in regards to replying to emails and stuff like that, and when they dispatch their mail, prompt postage, just all the correspondence that makes you want to deal with them again, offsets that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, I guess I'm more concerned with someone if they don't have either end of the package. If you don't know if they've sent you miniatures or not, Warlord, I'm talking to you. If you don't know, your way around their website, and if the whole package isn't good, then I'm a bit concerned. But if it's a smaller boutique sort of maybe family organisation or a sculptor working by himself, if he offsets that by having that good service, then I'm happy.
Yep. You know what I think they should do? It's all right to have a good website and all that, but honestly, copy of Microsoft Word and a free version of Photoshop, Photoshop lookalike. You could make yourself a really awesome PDF catalog. It's like, sure, if you got $5,000 worth of graphic design software like I have, it's a bit easier, but anybody could knock something up. And I do like the PDF catalog. Where you've got the things full screen. You can flip through it and flip through it and flip through it, and leave it on your desktop of your PC and just keep coming back to it and back to it and back to it.
I prefer catalogs just with words and no images, and names like orc with flail, R/hand.
Yep. Do their product codes start with RAL001?
Yeah, and MAR or whatever it was for Marauder. Yeah.
Yep. So Rail Parther back in the day, back in the mid '80s, I suppose. Yep, those were the days. You people have got it too good, you young snappers. Something.
What's all this heresy about being able to see your miniatures before you pay for them?
Yeah,
You couldn't even see what they were like, could you? In fact, I think we didn't. Our family didn't even have a credit card for years. Like, that's how backward we were in New Zealand. I think we got like a money order or something and sent it off.
Yep.
And then waited in these orcs with a flail in their right hand, or a wizard with vial in left hand, outstretched, turned up in like a little matchbox thing.
Yep. Hey, by the way, you lied.
What?
While we're talking about orcs, flails, you promised me that this was going to be a Dungeons and Dragons episode.
Well, yeah, but then life got busy. You had stuff going on. I had stuff going on. We can say that till another day. And, I had the absolute good fortune to attend a bolt action event, and I figured it was a public service announcement that we could tell people who are suffering through a period of no war games that they can live vicariously through my war games event.
Yep, no, I'll let you off for sure.
Those poor buggers.
But I am keen. We're somewhat digressed from my hobby here, but I am keen to do the Dungeons and Dragons one, and I'll tell you why towards the end. Once I've heard about your hobby.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So what else have I been doing? That is about it, I think. The video was massive. I know that's not hobby as such, but the video was, it took me something like between 40 and 50 hours to create that video, but it was crazy fun. I really enjoyed it. So that was a good thing. When hobbies collide, when photography collides with wargaming, collides with something else, with history, interest in history, then yeah, you're like a pig in mud, aren't you?
Yeah, good. I'm glad. And as I say, I appreciate the effort you put into learning the software that'll help us in the future too.
Good stuff. All right. Well, tell me what you've been up to then.
All right. Well, firstly, when I started out my list, I thought I've done so many of these things, and I have forgotten completely to put pictures of them anywhere, tell people that I've done them, anything like that, actually. And I don't know when I stopped. So I went on to Twitter and I saw a picture of like 4 here dudes with PPSH 41 SMGs on the Eastern Front, and I was like, I finished those so long ago. I'm a bad person. I haven't posted anyway. But anyway, those of you who have been waiting with bated breath, holding on to your breath, you may be passed out. You'll be pleased to know. Don't panic. I did finish those artisan here with the SMGs on the Eastern Front. They are done. Added to my German army, which was showcased a few months ago, where I could sort of take in and out stuff for Western Front, Eastern Front. As well as that, I thought they were so nice, and the Eastern Front seemed so attractive to me, as I've already spoken about, hence playing a little bit with Russians, or the Soviets, I should say, that I invested in some First Corps Eastern Front farm buildings. And I got a set of those, and I painted those bad boys up, and I think they look pretty darn good. What do you think, Rex?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they're really outstanding. You've got an eye for it for sure. Yeah, I've decided that I have not a creative bone in my body. I'm just going to copy everything that you do and everything everybody else does from now on.
Well, you know what? That's one of the best things about YouTube, though, is that people share stuff so that you don't have to make mistakes on the way. You can just see a version of it you really like, and someone's told you how to do it, and you do it. That's really good sharing across our community, I think.
Yeah, no, they're really great. You'll have to get them up on the blog or video, YouTube, and the paint colors again. I don't know how everybody responded to the paint colors in the last building tutorial you did, but it was great for me. I really enjoyed it, having all that there and knowing that there's a resource I can go back to when I need it, because I've got buildings for that era to paint as well. So yeah, that'll be good to get done.
Yeah, yep. So I'll make sure I put that up there. Finished those. As I said, for the event, I did a couple of squads, SMG Soviets, and some uniforms. They were just tabletop ready though, and I'll go back and finish them off at some stage. I did my 2 sort of dog mine squads, one of which was improvised dogs, as I said, and the other one was an improvised dog cat, or cat mine, I should say, and a pig mine. And then after I recorded the start of this podcast a few days ago, I've since received my Warlord Games dog mines, so I'll finish those up and get them in as well. I also did the Studebaker Lend-Lease truck and the Katyusha, and those are the Rubicon ones, awesome ones, as you pointed out on our blog, and I got onto that on our website, and so I bought the Rubicon ones, changed them out from a Katyusha to the troop-carrying truck, and if you want to, throw a new set of transfers and a bit of a lick of paint on them if you decide to play Americans as well, and pretty versatile vehicles. They're awesome, aren't they, Rex?
Yep, no, they're really good. And being Rubicon, they're so crisp and perfect in every way. They're amazing vehicles. I still haven't managed to get one of those tanks with the interior yet. I don't know if they're available, but when they are, or when I see it, I should definitely buy one. It's a Tiger 2, I think, with a completely decked out interior.
Yeah, they've stuff's coming through in a big glut from them, and I think what's happening is COVID and lockdowns and stuff like that is basically playing havoc with either their shipping from their production place or with actual production themselves. Then stuff's coming through in a big wave, 3 or 4 sets at once. And something you forgot to mention is you bought something else, didn't you, off them?
Off Rubicon?
Yeah. Yeah, you got the horse and cart set.
Oh, yeah, the horse and cart set. Yeah, that's still sitting in the garage on the top of the shelf where I left it the day that I bought it. That was the day that I said I was going to do a review because it was a brand new product. That was 2 months ago. Yeah,
You're such a guy.
Did you enjoy
You're
that?
Such a wargamer guy.
Did you enjoy the review?
Yeah. It was like it never happened.
It was, yeah.
No, I know that feeling. No, but I'm looking forward to getting that cart too. So one day you should get it up there. But anyway, moving on. At the moment, I am working on. I got some stuff from Empress, Empress miniatures, and they're fantastic. Yeah, I got a civilian 88 crew to bolster up my Fall of Berlin or Battle for Berlin German force, and they are great. I didn't get the 88 because I've already got one, but yeah, the civilian 88 crew is fantastic with a Luftwaffe sort of NCO or officer perhaps leading them. Maybe
That's
took
cool.
them through some drills so they could fight off the Soviets entering the city.
Oh, that's really cool. Yeah, I've not seen that. Yeah, you didn't tell me about it. No, I haven't seen photos, so it probably didn't happen.
I have them. They're in the process of being painted.
All right.
Something else in the process as well is I watched the movie Cross of Iron the other day. Steiner! And so while I was online with Empress buying the 88 crew, because I'd had this on my pad for ages, I went, while I'm ordering something, I'm just going to order the Cross of Iron miniatures. So I got the Cross of Iron set of 4 miniatures of Steiner and 3 of his men from his reconnaissance patrol. So they arrived as well. Fantastic miniatures.
Empress, these are, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah, right, okay. I'll have to go and check it out. Yeah,
I think
could
they're
do with
just
a
called Cross. If you go into the Empress miniatures page, World War II, German, and then there at the top, I think they're just called Cross or something like that. It is. It's 4 miniatures.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I need those. Yeah, for
Yep.
sure. I need them to go with my cart.
Oh, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Other things I've got is I'm working on Perry Tropical Luftwaffe crew, so offensive miniatures, special miniatures, Otto Skorzeny and Mussolini, and also the Fallschirmjäger mule handler and his pack mule carrying a mortar. I've also dug up a sprue of plastic British Airborne that I just found randomly around, so I'm putting that together and painting that. Painting 3 or 4 random Warlord British Airborne I got, metal ones. What else have I got? Oh, I got in the mail at the same time as my First Corps Eastern Front buildings. I also got the British Airborne Artillery Tow Jeep. It's got 2 British Airborne guys in it, and the Jeep is set up for towing the Airborne 6-pounder. So it's got a couple of canisters of the rounds in the back, or ammunition crates with the rounds in the back. It's got like the little the marker post for dialing in their range and direction and stuff like that across the front bumper of it. It's it's really good. It's authentic, much nicer than buying a I guess non-purpose built sort of Jeep and using it as that, which I have done before. I've used my recce Jeep, but now I was going on there anyway, so I purchased that specific one, and it's made me very happy, Rex.
Oh, that sounds great. Who's that by?
By First Corps.
Right, okay.
Same guy's got the Eastern Front farm buildings off. And you'll be pleased to know, Rex, or not pleased to know, it'll play with your mind, but it is a different size to the Warlord Games Jeep.
Oh, God. It's bigger or smaller?
Okay, so it's actually what I think is probably a little bit more realistic. I actually really like the Warlord Games British Airborne Reconnaissance Jeep.
Yep.
However, it seems to be quite high off the ground, and I've thought that for quite some time, like quite high as in the wheels seem quite high, or the body of it, the undercarriage seems quite high, pushing the bonnet upwards, and where the actual sort of well to get the legs in and that into the Jeep seems quite high. And the First Corps one seems a little bit smaller in that way, so it's not too bad lengthways. The body's not too bad. It's just the underneath and the wheels and stuff like that. The actual wheels and tyres are pretty much the same size, but it's just because of the way the undercarriage is sculpted, it doesn't elevate it so much. So
Right.
it's pleasingly similar if they're apart on the tabletop a foot or so, but when you put them together, there's a size difference. It's mostly in the height off the ground rather than anything else.
Right, okay. As opposed to my British Airborne Jeeps that I've got that are still in the box that make me sad every time I look at them. So small, they're 172 scale.
Well, but soon there'll be a collector's item.
Yeah, right. I'm thinking of buying Rubicon Jeeps. So Rubicon Jeeps for everything. Rubicon Jeeps for LRDG, Rubicon Jeeps for US. I don't know if they have a British airborne one, but I'm thinking about. I've seen their sizing and they look pretty good. Have you done a comparison with those and yours?
I haven't. Maybe I should get one and put it together and see. They do have a British Commonwealth Jeep, and it's you can assemble it a number of different ways. SAS in the desert, a British airborne one, and I think a Western Europe SAS Jeep as well. The one thing I notice about it is that the British airborne one, in their pictures, has some rather funky, perhaps not too authentic weapon combinations. That maybe are more similar to the SAS Western Europe sort of selectors, or in real life.
Twin Vickers
however,
and that sort of thing.
Sorry?
Twin Vickers and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Just so and a 50 cal on it and stuff like that. So so I don't know if that's just the way it was assembled in those pictures, or if that's the only options, or whatever the case is. But the flexibility of the Jeep is fantastic. I know that for a start, and the crew, the British Airborne crew, look fantastic. So much so, I am tempted to get some because I have a plan for a British Airborne crew member, which I'll talk about in a minute.
Okay. Yeah, I gotta get a couple. Next order, or next time I see it on special, I'll buy a few. Can't have too many Jeeps.
So lusting after, which would probably is next thing we'll go to, is we're sort of talking about one of them there. What else are you after, Rex?
Well, I've been reading the new Pacific book, Palu and Mariana Islands, is it?
Yeah,
something like that. And I read it. I actually got the ebook, which was something that was new to me. Normally, I either get the PDF or the printed copy. Wow, let's be honest. Normally, I get the PDF and the printed copy, and apparently now I buy the ebook copy as well. And while I was going to the gym and mowing the lawn and whatever, I was able to play it on my ebook reader and have it do a pretty authentic text to voice. A little bit annoying,
right, okay.
but certainly listenable. And for once, I actually read the whole book cover to cover because I could do it while I was doing other things because I don't get a lot of other time. And I was thinking to myself,
that's a big advantage for that format, then, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So I was thinking to myself, maybe I should buy a Japanese one day. And they'll be able to match up with my US GIs. I don't have any Marines, but I've got GIs. That might be nice. As well as that, I'm still flirting with the idea of going with a GW Middle Earth strategy battle game kind of bent. But I haven't done that either. But I'm definitely lusting after those miniatures. Actually, mainly I'm lusting after Zorpa's Terrain. Is that his name? Is that how you pronounce his channel?
Zorpa. Yeah, the guy. That's his channel name on YouTube. Yeah,
yep.
He's good, isn't he?
Yep. Yeah. So if you're into fantasy, then go and check that out. He does some really great stuff, but it's so expensive. So there's that. I've also nearly pulled the trigger a couple of times on a bunch of warplanes. I've got a Messerschmitt 109 in mind, and a Spitfire, and Hawker Hurricane, a few of those things in 172, because I've never played any games with air combat, and although I'm pretty sure it's not a tournament thing, what a great fun game to be playing at home in the garage. And the other thing that I was lusting after, which I've now appeased my lust, is Killing Fields Battle Mat.
Ah.
Yep.
You finally got it for your birthday, did you?
Yep. So I bought it, and apparently with all the other stuff that I'd spent in the last little while, that was just that may have been just over the limit of what was reasonable. So I had to put it away for my birthday, which thankfully was only in 3 weeks. And seeing as I didn't get to go to Moab for my birthday, this year, which is our local gaming convention here in Sydney, I was able to at least get my Killing Fields battle mat, and I got it out, spread it out to take the creases out, and haven't looked at it since. I've been a bit busy, but I am looking forward to getting it on the table. So, yeah, it's dark.
Good.
It's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the colour will shock you when you get it out of the package to start with, that's for sure.
Yeah. 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 So last thing after that's about it really. I've just had a period of capitulation where I've just bought everything that I wanted. Now the family coffers are empty, so my lusts are mostly fulfilled for now. But give me another week or so because the boxes are still warm off the courier. But give me another week or so, and I'll have another list for you.
All right, spoken like a true wargamer.
Yeah, although of course I just left my mouth after I said that I was going to buy $300 and something worth of OTP terrain 3D printed stuff. But yeah, that's for next week.
Yeah, good one. All right, well I've got a bit of a simple list this time. Man, I really like that Warlord Games, the Soviet People's Militia Squad, the one that's on pre-release now. It's due out in November. That is a really good set. The one with all the civilians, with weapons, with proper weapons, not rakes and hoes and stuff. Have you seen that one, Rex?
Yeah, it's really nice. Yep. Yeah, I definitely think you need that because you've got, the Soviet partisans and a few other things, or you've got partisans, should I say, and a few other things, and then with your Strathbutt squads or whatever they're called, you should definitely have those for sure. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, and looking at the miniatures, like there are some that are very archetypical, like the woman with the sort of cloth over her head and stuff. Just her clothing says, I don't know, maybe. Maybe Orthodox Christian or something like that. Maybe, it just looks very Soviet, or maybe like a Yugoslav or something like that sort of look. But the majority of them could be French partisans or anything really. There's very few that look very archetypical towards being Soviet, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. And like my land defence volunteers for the UK, some of those are. Look very English, thank you very much. But others of them, you can get away with putting them in any setting. So
yeah, yep. So I love those guys, and also out in November is that fantastic model of the Nimrod, the Hungarian anti-aircraft armored fighting vehicle. And that there, I looked at it and I was just like, that looks weird. And then I realised that I really liked it. And I really liked the 37M, I think it's a medium howitzer, also by Warlord, which is the Hungarian piece with the sort of updated wheels on it. I think it's a Skoda manufactured World War One vintage weapon, but they've sort of updated the wheels and that on it to bring it into the period of the Second World War. And the crew on it is what really attracts me to it. They were sculpted fantastic. And there's some serious Hungarian moustache action going on in that crew.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've just actually looked it up because I remember seeing it, but I didn't really remember the detail. But it's a great looking model. I've got an image here come up on my screen of the guys all hanging out the top of the open top thing. Yeah, it's great. So you're going to do a Hungarian army now, are you?
Well, I tell you what, honestly, I'm thinking about it because the Nimrod came out, and the 37M is, well, I mean, it's on pre-order, so it's 37M artillery piece. I like both of those. I like quite a few of the Warlord Games things. The Fortress Budapest book is probably my favourite book, as you know, that Warlord have done. And as well as that, the Great Escape Games Hungarian Cavalry, just every time I sort of get bored, I keep finding my way to their page and looking at them. And they've also got parachute assault squads. So everything's sort of there, cavalry, paratroopers, cool weapons and stuff like that. And also some, I guess, minor nation action, which is something I haven't really done so far. And Yeah, I'm pretty keen. But that really is in terms of a whole new army investment, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I was actually thinking about it myself. It's been surprising how much longevity that product line has had. We sort of got some before the book, and then some around the book, and I sort of thought, well, that's the end of it now. But they're still bringing stuff out, so there must be a lot of people playing that army. Um, I mean, for us, I guess in Australia and New Zealand, Hungary's pretty obscure location. Like we don't really how many New Zealanders and Australians have been there. What do we know about it? But of course, in Europe, it's well known, and
Yeah,
plenty of Hungarians, I guess. I imagine some of them play bolt action, and certainly the quality of the sculpts are fantastic. That's one thing I noticed. With some of the older sculpts. So I've just bought,
yeah,
I'm still kind of collecting up Winter US. They're all metals as well.
yep.
But they really are the older sculpts. They really are quite basic. They're not that nice. You sort of get them and you go, okay, well, yeah, that's Winter US. Whereas the Hungarian stuff, because it's all new, and I think our technology's or our ability to be able to create nice models has improved, I guess, over the years. You're getting the benefit of that, even though it's maybe not a well-known army. You're actually getting really, really, really nice miniatures. So, yeah,
Sure are. And you add to it other manufacturers that say like Great Escape Games is just like wow, drop dead gorgeous cavalry. Yeah.
yep, yep.
So there's that stuff there. Other stuff I'm lasting after. Well, I'd love to get my stuff I bought off Warlord Games in the post. I'll send them an email today actually. They have a bad habit of not telling you when you've dispatched your orders at the moment, and that coupled with the fact that we do have poor postal system around the world. And it's not just a delay because I've had stuff I ordered after that arrive before it, my dog mines. So you're in a position where you don't know if you've got it, if they've sent it, you haven't got it, you don't know where it is. So I'm going to email them. But anyway, so that is Battlefield Debris, and I also ordered the British Airborne characters.
Oh, right, okay.
Um,
Still haven't got those, right?
uh, yeah, Major Digby Tatum Water in it with his umbrella. Um, as well as that, I am looking forward. I can't wait. It's getting close now. The sending out of the Kickstarter for the Fallschirmjäger, the May 40 miniatures Fallschirmjäger. It's getting imminent, imminent.
Yep.
It's got all the casting stuff back and everything, and I think we're just waiting for the glider to come in for it possible to be my order to be dispatched. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't ordered the stuff through the Kickstarter, just wait till it gets released because it's fantastic, and you're gonna love it. And I can't wait to get stuff in the post and get it to me here. Yeah, it's not May 40's fault, COVID and manufacturing delays and all that stuff. It's just I'm really looking forward to getting it now.
So you extended it and got the glider, eh?
Oh, I got the glider the first
Oh,
as
did you
soon as
now?
it
Okay.
as soon as it was released because I had guessed through the teasers that they put out. They had a couple of pictures of them jumping out at I think it was a stage propaganda pics. It was supposed to be at Eben or sorry my mistake at Gran Sasso. The raid to rescue Mussolini, I think the propaganda stage pics from that. And as
Yep.
soon as he released that, I thought, I think there might be a glider coming. And there wasn't. It was a stretch goal sort of a thing that he never spoke about. And then he said, bang, if we get to this next goal, I'll release this glider. And I was in that day. I think within the hour, I'd ordered the glider.
Yep. Yeah. There's it's resin, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
With a clear plastic for the cockpit glass.
Yep. Yeah, I was looking at the OTP Terrain have one as well. So, yeah, it'd be nice to have a glider. Well, I've already got one, but that's with the cart.
Yeah, you've got a Sarissa one, haven't you?
Yeah,
Soon we'll be able to do a DFS 230 comparison video.
yeah.
I bet there's not too many of those out there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? How about I order one of those ones from those 3D printed ones as well, and we do that.
Okay, you're on.
All right. No
I
worries.
consider it our public duty to bring this information to the people, Rex.
Yep. And when I get it all done up, although yeah, you do have that sanding issue again. Okay, when I get it all done up and it looks beautiful, I'm going to hang it from my roof over my bed with
Oh,
from
with fishing line.
with a little fishing line. And my dad's going to put in some little hooks in the roof for me, and
Yep.
and I'll have guys, standing in the door, ready to jump, and I'll hang a couple of little balls of cotton wool around that have just been ever so slightly painted in black, just for flack as well.
Nice. Only one thing is wrong with that.
What?
Only one thing.
What?
Doesn't have any engine, so you can't go when you move it.
Yeah, that's all right. And the reason I bring that up is because when we were young, when I was, I don't know, 10 or 12 or something like that, I only just really kind of remembered this the other day. I had a Sopwith Camel, it's like a biplane from First World War biplane, and the Liechtenstein, is it? The Red Baron triplane,
Yep.
and a Catalina
On
on my
Richthofen.
roof.
Yep.
Yeah. On my roof when I was a boy. So there you go.
Yeah.
Memories.
It was good. Every boy should have one.
Yep, for sure. Or 5.
All right. Well, that is probably the end of our hobby and what we're lasting after, I think, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, our wallets will be pleased.
Yeah. Well, check in this time next month and see if we've been divorced and or given the boot from our significant others.
Yeah. All right, Rex, is there anything else you want to talk about this time, or should we put people out of their oral misery? And give them a
One
break?
thing. We've chatted a fair bit, and people are probably they might be over us by now. But one thing that I did just want to touch on in the what have you been reading section of things. Guess what I've been reading?
Dunno.
I've been reading the Dragonlance book that you were going to be reading last time. Have you been reading it too?
I don't think I've read anything except policies and procedures at work. So I have read the first couple of pages, first couple of chapters rather. Yep. How about you?
Yeah, I'm just over halfway through the first book.
Nice. Have you ever read them before?
No. And
Are you enjoying it?
I really am. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, it's written in a young, in a young person's way, if I can describe it like that, like a adolescent sort of level.
Yeah, there's not too many descriptions of blood, viscera, and gore, and it's in that sort of less gothic horror, sort of high fantasy style, sort of typical of where TSR was going at that stage, I think, and certainly the opposite of sort of Games Workshop sort of version of fantasy, isn't it?
Yeah. It's it's kid friendly fantasy, but it's the whole thing of reading it and kind of assessing the book and seeing how interesting or not interesting it was, or how appropriate it was for an adult to be reading at age 50 something. Dropped away after about the first 5 minutes, when they met in the bar, met in the tavern, and got their quest, and off they went, and then they went down the road, and they had a random encounter, and oh my gosh, it just makes me want to play D&D.
It's funny because the first couple of chapters are a little awkward like that, and they do actually feel like that. D&D session 1.0.
Yeah.
Or even the second half of D&D session 0, after you've rolled up your characters and you've got 4 people that are brand new to maybe D&D, or
Yep.
3 that are new, and one person is you're guiding through things, and that sort of awkwardness of people finding out about each other in a meeting in a bar.
Yeah, but I loved it. I loved the cliche of it. It was really fantastic. So anyway, that's enough about that. Next time, definitely a Dungeons and Dragons episode, and you'll have to catch up because I'm ahead of you, and we'll have to
Okay, sounds
discuss what will happen when. I'm trying to think of something I can tease you with. No, I won't. I'll just leave it to you.
Okay. Well, until then, say goodnight, Rex.
All right. Good night, everyone. Game on.
All right, stay classy, Kryn.
Grin. All right. Good night, Dan. Bye.
Bye.
Wish me luck as you wave me goodbye.